Oh, here we go. There we go. Hello, everybody. Hopefully everybody can hear us now. Believe so. Had everything muted. I am running the show tonight because Spoon is asleep.
No. That's just a cover up. The IRA actually got him and is torturing him in Northern Ireland. So
Yeah.
we're gonna have to go and save him after this. But you know, first we gotta watch some bad videos.
We do have to watch some bad videos, unfortunately, which is what we're gonna do here. So hello everybody, welcome back to Tankie Tier Squad, which is a we don't really have like a regular time that we do this. I would say we try to do about once a month. Volume is too low. Volume too low. Again, I'm running it through my
I
end.
can hear fine.
Okay. If the volume's too low, I can try and mess with it. But yes, I will try to fix this. And Spoon's asleep. He's not waking up. He has gone to bed, guys. He is out. So you're not getting any Spoon tonight. Unfortunately, I was shocked because like we were talking about this for a while. We were like, hey, we're gonna do the Tanky Tier Squad tonight. In our little monarchist chat. Little quiet on my end. I can do that. Hang on. That's just called me pulling the mic closer to my face. That one I can fix very easily. But anywho, so we were supposed to do this for a while, guys. But I am here, joined tonight with Lavender. How are you doing, man? Hello?
As good as I can.
Your links are in the description. Do you want to show your channel a little bit before we get started?
Honestly, I think at this point everyone just knows who I am. Just know, give me money on Patreon. That's all you need to know now. To you, Wolfgang.
And we are also joined by Wolfgang. Yes, Wolfgang, your links are also in the description. If you want to shill anything, please go ahead now.
No, I'm good.
Very simple, very easy. Alrighty. Yeah, guys, let me know about the audio, because I'm watching the chat to see about that, because I don't normally run things from my end. I am running it tonight. I don't like doing this, but I am capable, occasionally. Sometimes women can do things. Not well, is the answer. But, sometimes I can do stuff. So, what we're here to do tonight, as we always do on Tanky Tier Squad, is we are going to watch some obnoxious lefty bullshit. But particularly what I found interesting about this, and what all of you will regret, is that this is apparently about academia. The subject matter we're tackling tonight is leftists in academia.
God help us.
And why I say you will regret that, Lav, you're the one who recommended these videos. You're the one who put these before us.
I mean, everything I do is very carefully planned.
Mm-hmm. We cannot
So,
hear
yeah.
you?
What?
No, I
Wait.
think he's fucking with me. He's fucking with me. No, it should be fine. No, everyone else can hear.
Okay, well, you're just fucking with me just now.
Bunch of incomprehensible letters is fucking with me. All right. Well.
Okay, you're actually fucking with me, or is my audio fucked up?
No, I think it's fine. Here's what I have spent the last 4 weeks doing. I have read every single, as many of you know if you've been watching the channel, I have read every single paper in Claudine Gay's CV. I have read not just her papers, but her book. I have read everything. I have even read her, the only thing I have not read is her doctoral dissertation because, curiously, ProQuest, the service that hosts doctoral dissertations, closed hers off from public access during the whole debacle about her being ousted from Harvard. That's interesting. Academia, the shining city on the hill, the ivory tower. But you can't read it. You're not allowed to. It's not allowed for you because you are not one of us. Now, I don't have university access anymore to these things. But the thing that's curious to me is that even as a non-academic, I can still buy access, okay, to this stuff. Not in the case of Claudine Gay's doctoral dissertation, which is the biggest piece of criticism of all of her work in terms of plagiarism, because she plagiarized from freaking everybody in that. So,
oh boy, we haven't even started the video, and we're already gonna reach the 10-minute mark.
yeah, because I'm autistic. It's fine. let's. However, you're not gonna make. Look, I'm irritated about this ProQuest thing. It irritates me. Makes me very pissed because I don't like the fact that plebs. Why are you restricting the plebs from being able to access your dissertation? Is it because it's the worst aspect of plagiarism that you've ever conducted, Claudine? Is that why the plebs can't access it? I'm very, very angry at academia right now, more so than usual, and I'm always angry at academia. You know this, Lav. Wolfgang maybe less so, but I'm always angry at academia. However, let's watch. Does history and academia have a leftist bias? This is the video.
It does.
Yes, it does. Let's start with this video though. I will. We're all in the watch together. Yes. Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Let's get it going.
Let's go.
Whenever I make a video on a topic and I reference the work of accredited university professors or mention something I've learned at a university, there's always a subset of commenters that show up to tell me how the university is not to be trusted because they are pushing a specific agenda. Now, anyone who's
is this repeating for you guys?
Knows that.
Did you get a
What do you
weird?
mean repeating?
It like went back and repeated. It might just be for me. Never mind. Probably just a watch together glitch for me.
It sometimes happens.
Yeah,
I think I've
yeah.
noticed that, but
It's
it shouldn't be that big. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not the whole picture. At least not in the sense that right-wing ideas or actors aren't present at universities. After all,
No, they're not. But they're not.
Darling Joker posting colorful suit-wearing Jordan B. Peterson.
But he's been fired.
And there are right-leaning historians who write histories that slant in that direction as well. A lot of the classics academia has traditionally been right-leaning.
Well, I actually don't think that Jordan Peterson has technically been fired because I think he was tenured. You basically can't fire a tenured professor. The video is quiet? Okay, let me... Hang on. I will work to try and make it louder. That's already at the top. Desktop audio. Pull up. Alright, it's all I can do because I'll try to make it a little louder. There we go.
Meaning, for example. These are anecdotes that don't mean anything more than whatever the YouTube commenter, Twitter user, or opinion columnist posted in order to start the initial argument. The question still remains, are university historians and their students largely left-wing?
Yes.
And where did this
Yes.
idea come from?
Oh no, he's about to go down that hole.
Yep.
We should first perhaps discount the notion that academia has ever been entirely apolitical. According to Lewis L. Orland, even in antiquity, the followers of Plato and Plato himself associated the search for truth with the political objective of producing high-minded rulers. The Museum of Alexandria was a scholarly corporation in the service of the Hellenistic Egyptian state.
If you think, by the way, that Aristotle was left-wing, you're out of your freaking mind. Because there's the idea of left or right-wing is so
It's completely
novel.
modern.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
completely modern. So that's insane. That's ridiculous, prima facie. Secondly, what the okay, let's see where he goes with this.
Universities in the Middle Ages served
Let's let
to
him cook.
supply the ecclesiastical cadre in theology and law, and the universities of the British Empire were expected to supply governors and administrators for the empire. These organizations were all deeply tied into their contemporary political structures, and the aims of students and educators were tied to specific contemporary political goals. One could perhaps argue that academia is far less politicized today than it was in those days, but is brushing up against politics, so politics brushing up against them. This is just unavoidable when your research is relevant to contemporary.
Hang on, pause. You can't just make a statement like that without providing some examples, without providing evidence. Academia is less political today than it was 2,000 years ago. Provide evidence. Where's the evidence? There's no evidence. You just made a statement. Provide evidence for such a claim. That's an insane claim. That's a really big claim. Provide evidence. Just said it. Just said it without. I'm in a bad mood today, guys. Like I'm in a.
When are you
foul
not in a
mood.
bad mood?
True. But I'm in a foul mood today about science. So provide me with evidence. Where's your citation? Where is the evidence that scholarship today is less political than it was 2,000 years ago? Because I can't see any evidence of that, and I never have seen any evidence of that. You're not providing it here either. I'm a minute and a half in, I'm already pissed.
To be fair, maybe
Society
he's gonna later on.
All right, let's see where he goes.
Also still serve as pathways to power or careers in state and government institutions or organizations. Before I delve into the history of this, I'm about to discuss some historical figures, and if you're unfamiliar with them, then I'm going to sound
Red
like I'm
scare,
portraying
red scare, red
cartoon
scare.
villains. But it's important for you to understand that the things I'm saying are, to the best of my knowledge, accurate depictions of how immensely weird
Who is
and
this, by the way?
sometimes evil.
Who's the YouTuber who made this?
Freda.
What's his name?
Freda. It's
Freda.
It's the guy who criticizes people for looking at things through their own ideological bias, but then literally does the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Understandable. Jesus. All right. Let's go.
These guys were. I'm sourcing everything on
preserve
screen
me.
down to the page number, so you can go and see for yourself that I'm
Oh,
not
are you?
lying to you. I believe
Put them on screen. That's what I do.
He was just putting them, to be fair.
Put them on screen. I put it on screen. Why are you saying? Oh, just go down in the description. That is a nitpick. That is a nitpick of my part. But put them on screen. I do that. Even when I do that, I still get accused of not citing correctly. I cite everything APA style. Everything APA style. Let's go.
believe that the present discourse
I'm in a
around
mood,
a
guys.
politicized
Sorry.
academia, and specifically a left-wing one, can be traced to the immediate post-war years in America. In 1955, a study was conducted and compiled in the book The Academic
it's on
Mind
screen.
regarding the situation of the social sciences in the post-war years. One of the questions read as follows: Do you feel that there is a greater threat to intellectual activity in America than there was a generation ago? Less of a threat, or don't you see any difference? 63% of the social science teachers believed that the position of the intellectual was in greater danger than it was a generation ago.
What do
Among
you mean
those who
the
have made up a
position of
clear
the
opinion on
intellectual
the
was in danger?
development-
What do you mean the position of the intellectual was in danger? Would you like to know what I found out? Is that nearly 2/3 of all academics have engaged in academic plagiarism by their own accord and account. So no shit, they're under scrutiny by their own account. Because they don't do good work. Maybe that's why. Maybe it's not because they're being ousted for being commies. Maybe it's because they fucking suck. I told you I'm in a mood. Sorry, let's go.
Regarding academic freedoms at the time, 70 to 80% of them believed that academic institutions were under greater pressure to drop, quote, dangerous courses or fire controversial academics in favor of safer ones than before. This was all
What do you
happening.
mean by safer ones? I mean people who aren't ideologues teaching propaganda, because that's what they were firing in this case, right? Sorry guys, please jump in, because
Honestly, I don't think my academia brain is that big to like really comment a lot on this issue. So I think you should, for the most part, take a hold of this one. It is your expertise after all.
it's weird that you well, I guess it's interesting you offered these two videos as what we should cover, because this
Well-
will be my expertise.
One thing I could say is that I offer these videos so I can hear more of a perspective from you guys and then actually learn more through that. So yeah.
So sorry if I take the reins on this a little bit. I was talking to my mom. I just had my mom on the phone for almost 3 hours this afternoon, talking about the Claudine Gay stuff that I'm working on, and other things, you know. What I said to my mom, and which I think is important, is that the videos that I do that do best in the YouTube algorithm is videos that I make about women and videos that I make about academia, because I am a woman and I'm an academic. Hey, come here, Mark. How's it going? Fetch me our guillotine, yeah. And I think that there's an element of that speaks to viewers, right? I have a unique perspective on this stuff. That I have a unique perspective as a woman on being a woman. Not that unique. It's half the population, but still, I guess unique in that way. And then I also have a unique perspective on academia because I'm an academic. Shudder the thought. The worst thing imaginable. But, yeah, so I guess I'm gonna have to take the lead here, which I don't like to do. But, yeah, sorry guys if I talk a lot.
I may chip in sometimes when I feel like I could give a few comments. Just don't think
And Wolfgang,
I'm gonna
please.
be like you.
You and Wolfgang, please jump in anytime, because I don't want.
we're saving our frustrations for the next one.
As a result of Cold War McCarthyism, also known as the Second Red Scare. In 1971, the FBI's long-standing counterintelligence program was revealed, showing how
Except for they were right.
surveilled and worked to undermine the civil rights movement,
But they were
socialist
right.
organizations.
But weren't they right? But weren't they right? Weren't they all commies? Wasn't a bunch of commies in Hollywood? Excuse me. You guys know this.
From what I remember, there were also like, in general, like in these areas, progressive thought is more acceptable. Because I would argue, like, I have worked a little bit in theater, like maybe like in theater class and such, like especially with this one youth organization I was working for in Germany. Like the theater area is so fucking liberal and progressive.
Yes.
It's completely bizarre.
It's insane.
Like you literally cannot be a bigot in there.
Well, you can be a bigot. You can only be a bigot against white people. That's fine.
Or you are
That's
Mel
allowed.
Gibson.
Yeah. Yes. You can be a bigot. I'm gonna get beer drunk tonight because I'm again, like I said, I'm in a bad mood.
Okay. Let's make a challenge. Every time you get frustrated, take a shot.
In that case, the stream is gonna end in half an hour.
Yeah, that'll end real quick. Getting beer drunk. All right. So, the problem is, did you prove these people weren't commies? Did the Red Scare, was it wrong? Were they not commies who were teaching communism in colleges? Colleges. I turned into Golem for a second. Colleges teaching the communisms.
I mean, like personally.
By the way, I just want to say that the document on screen is about the Black Panther Party. So...
Yeah.
I mean, if you're talking about America during the 1960s, in the height of Vietnam, when there was a lot of instability, and the last thing America needed for a war was, instability, I wouldn't be surprised that the state intelligence will be looking into that. I mean, that's their fucking job.
Common Mark says that McCarthyism is state-sponsored cancel culture. True, it was. But was it unwarranted, is the question.
Well,
Nope.
to be fair, like regarding the whole Red Scare thing, I do believe there was a certain degree of communist infiltration in the United States, but I feel like McCarthy went a little, especially like the culture around it, went a little bit too far because because basically the label communist was used as fascism today. Like, look, politicians literally could just label critics as communists, and that was literally enough for them to lose their job or really anywhere.
Yeah, true.
Like
I mean, Oppenheimer is the best example of that.
I mean, but there is this thing. There is this thought amongst these leftists and tankies that anything that automatically comes from the FBI or CIA is automatically completely false.
Yeah. Now,
automatically false.
To be fair, I agree with a large amount of that sentiment. Because let's be clear, the US government killed Martin Luther King Jr. And they also killed JFK. Those are no longer contested conspiracy theories. They're facts. We know this at this point. The security apparatus killed MLK and JFK. That's just the truth. And if you have any compunctions about that, holy shit, you're behind the times. Get up. Because the US government will kill you if you are a threat to their hegemony. Just the way it's been working for the last 70 years. At least.
Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, many churches and academics, and virtually anyone who might be construed as liberal, quote, un-American, or critical of the FBI. There was an almost hysterical belief among some of the political right regarding Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, many churches and academics, and virtually anyone who might be construed as liberal, quote, un-American, or critical of the FBI. There was an almost hysterical belief among some of the political right regarding communist infiltration of Hollywood, academia, and other institutions.
But
this
they
led them
did
to
that.
carry out breaches of individual.
Hang on. It was actually part of. No. It was part of their outspoken program. It was out of the streets into the academy. They said this directly. We can't get. They said this directly in the 60s. We're not making movement towards overthrowing the American empire, overthrowing the American system via protest. So we're going to go out of the streets into the academy. This is well known. This is actual common knowledge. We're going to go out of the streets into the academy, which is what they did. They went into the academy, they infiltrated the academy, and have been doing it for 70 fucking years. I don't. This is common knowledge. I don't know why you don't know this, dude. Guy who made this video. They went into the academy to teach young people to do this stuff. Obviously,
individuals codified rights and carry on with strategies reminiscent of the totalitarianism they imagined that they were fighting against. Many things motivated these beliefs and actions, but perhaps chief among them was the attitudes and views of the individuals directing these efforts at so-called communist hunting. Large personalities like J. Edgar Hoover and Joseph McCarthy. Joseph McCarthy was rabidly anti-Semitic, and
Can I ask why this is
those who fell
justified
victim
left?
to his red-baiting campaigns had little to do with
Sorry, this is an extremely... people are like, oh, you're nitpicking. I am nitpicking. Why is this justified left? It's fine. I just don't understand. This should be justified center. I don't understand why it's justified left. That's fine. Because you didn't actually, do... If you were going to justify left, then you should have used a tab over with that July 2020. Shouldn't be justified left. Should be justified center. My bad. Sorry. Just don't like it.
radical left-wing politics, but came under suspicion for being Jewish. J. Edgar Hoover was an ideologically convicted white nationalist who believed the only salvation for America came through its commitment to being a white Christian nation. It should be noted that J. Edgar Hoover, of course, had no love for the Klan. His white supremacist attitudes were far more muted and reserved than that.
I mean,
What?
let's be
What?
fair. A lot of people in this time were like that. Not
What-
like an uncommon thing.
What? His white supremacist attitudes. He hated the Klan, but he was still a white supremacist. He probably was, to be fair. I wouldn't be at all shocked if J. Edgar Hoover hated the blacks.
I mean, today,
you know?
I mean, like today, of course, I do believe that the FBI back then definitely contributed in these things,
Yes,
but
yes.
try and tell me with a straight face that they still do that today.
They do it today. They just don't do it towards black people. They do it towards
Yeah.
Christian conservatives. They do it towards white people and call them things like white nationalists. They call them things like white supremacists. That's the terminology that they do the exact same tactic on Christian conservatives, Republicans, right-leaning people today that they did on blacks and communists in the 30s and 20s. It has not changed. The FBI will always try and fuck with you. You cannot trust them. You cannot trust any government agency in the United States. They are always out to get you. Don't trust these people. Jesus.
Believe we were just frightened for their lives and that, quote,
Wait, I got, criticized, because I did call the FBI when I was working on my, on trying to get my video reinstated. I called the FBI because I said, hey, you have a whole division that's here to deal with academic fraud. They do. They have an academic fraud division. And I said, you might want to look into this. People were like, Aiden, why would you contact the feds? I went, well, I've contacted everybody else. No one will listen to me. So my last point of contact was the feds. You think I like contacting the feds? I hate the feds.
The Unholy Alliance.
Yeah, but they didn't do anything anyway. They're never going to investigate that tranny study about attack helicopters that I looked at. Of course not. Because it was, and the reason why did I contact the feds on that? Because it was funded by the U.S. government. And I said, well, I have exhausted every other resource. I have contacted everybody. The last point of contact I have is the feds. I didn't want to do it. I did. They didn't do shit either way. Because of course they didn't.
Colored people who were ignorant and uneducated, unsuited to the rights that they were asking for, having instead to earn the respect of white people first, after which society would surely afford them equal rights. Despite the vast majority of imagined cases of communist infiltration being just that,
Imagined! Did you hear that? Imagined cases of communism. Except hundreds of commies were exposed in McCarthy's investigation. Of actual commies. What do you mean imagined? Hundreds of commies were exposed in this. What's he talking about?
Okay, but Aiden, do you have a source?
Do I have a source? Not on the top of my head. But, I don't know, go to Wikipedia and type in Joseph McCarthy and you'll be able to find it. Wikipedia, you can find this on. There were, a ton of people were members of communist organizations. This wasn't fake. This is real. The question only was about whether or not you think it's a crime to be a communist. I don't think it should be a crime to be a communist, obviously. I mean, Mark's here in the chat. But the only issue, it wasn't that, are they communists? Which is what is being contended here, that they weren't commies. They were. Just, why are you denying that they were commies? They were commies. The problem is whether or not you think it's a fucking crime. Which, Sorry, I dropped my vape. Which, which again, I don't think is a crime. But just what's the problem? They were commies. Just admit to
Imagine if Spoon was here and he heard this.
it. I'm running the show now.
Imagined,
God
much
help
of the
us, a woman.
mythology constructed around the American left during the McCarthyist era has persisted into the modern day, with some alterations. For example, the current discourse around so-called critical theory or cultural Marxism is actually an offshoot of an older anti-Semitic
No, it's not. Even the SPLC has dropped this definition, by the way. That critical race theory doesn't real. That it isn't real. They've dropped this. Critical race theory is a real thing. It's not anti-Semitic. It's a real thing that they've been pushing through schools. What does critical race theory say? That, well, the reason why black children do poorly in schools is because of systemic racism. And the only way that we can get black children in the American schooling system to do better is to totally retool the system. Now, when I said I was going to go into a tangent about academia, here we go. There's a man named Roland Fryer. He was a man who Claudine Gay, the former president of Harvard, tried to get fired from his position at Harvard. Because what did Roland Fryer do? Roland Fryer found out that if you spend more time, you have little tutoring groups within students. Students spend more time in schools. You have tutoring groups within students. You spend more time on academia than on politic. Then guess what? Poor black students do better than poor white students if they are given these provisions. He called it operationalized common sense. That bitch of a woman, Claudine Gay, tried to get this man destroyed because he found out that black kids are just as smart as white kids. And it makes me fucking irate. They are. You just have to be able to you have to teach them. You have to actually teach them. Not just be like, yeah, well, you're black, so you go ahead. Go through. Roland Fryer is an inspiration. He is still a professor at Harvard. I think just because he had tenure. And he was right. God damn.
conspiracy theory that began to take hold under McCarthyism. This conspiracy theory is itself an offshoot and relative of the older conspiracy theory of cultural Bolshevism, pushed by, among others, the Nazis. Now, that's not to say the current ideas floating on the right about critical theory are the same as the ideas promoted by the historical Nazis about cultural Bolshevism. These ideas have developed and changed, but a common theme is left-wing capture of academic institutions in order to promote a distinctly liberal or Marxist worldview. I'll be
Yeah, explain how that hasn't happened, homie.
referencing a lot of news articles in this video since I'm talking about a contemporary issue. Because of that, I probably could not have found a better fit for the sponsor of this video. Ground
Here we
News.
go.
Ground News is an app and
Okay, I've had
Processes
Ground News as a
tens of
sponsor.
thousands-
Just gonna skip this though. No offense, but I'm gonna skip the Ground News segment. Okay. Check out
Would
Ground
you
News.
look at that? I mean, actually, they're not actually that bad.
No, they're good. I like Ground News. They've sponsored me. Check out Ground News. It's weird that Ground News sponsors everybody, but check out Ground News. They're good.
news
I
slash
mean,
Reddit to
I
start
mean,
your
whatever
free
gets them more clicks.
You know, the best word is money.
True.
trial. In this historical example, it's important to note the pressures academics and
Numbers.
anti-racists faced
Numbers.
from a politically empowered right
Now I'm
wing. The
excited.
intent of this pressure was to either monitor the way they express themselves or to limit their freedom of expression. But this sort of action also has a secondary effect in that when you shift your politics to target and vilify a specific group, organization, or general demographic, you may risk alienating them. Thus, the academic is less likely to vote for the political candidate whose rhetoric or platform revolves around vilifying their field or denying the findings of
What are
their
you talking
field.
about?
Politicians often make
What are you
enemies.
talking about? My field has never been vilified by... I can't imagine any politician who has vilified my field. Unless it was justified. If there was a valid justification of my field that has been vilified by a politician such as Trump, then it was deserved. Oh my god. So stupid. Sorry, I'm really mad about this. I told you guys this is the thing that's gonna make me mad, because, like, oh, a vilification of my field. Is the field fucked? Then yeah, it should be vilified. By nature. Sorry, I'm starting to, like, not translate, John Nash is coming through my head. He's coming through my mind now. Like, I am now John Nash. Get the fuck out.
Of certain demographics or groups in order to court votes from others who stand in opposition to them. A historical example of this conscious effort at vilifying a demographic to court another is the so-called Southern strategy. Whatever shortcomings the Southern strategy thesis may have, there was a conscious effort by the Republican Party at exploiting racial tensions in the South to court white
You
Southern
don't
voters
say.
away
No,
from the Demo-
but
My guy, have you ever heard of a little thing called populism?
clearly not. And who has been exploiting racial tensions ever since? Now, did Nixon do this? Yeah, he did. Who's been exploiting racial tensions ever freaking since? The Democrat Party in the United States has been inflaming and exacerbating racial tensions. In the 90s, the races largely got along. We're like, even if it was just like, hey, well, we've got differences, but that's okay. It's all right. That's not how it is now, is it? I know you guys are not from the US, so you wouldn't know this. But in the US, in the 90s, it was, all right, we don't get along. That's all right. Not how it is now. Not how it is now. Now it's racial animus everywhere. Crazy.
Democratic Party expense of alienating black voters and creating a political realignment in America. The specifics of these two examples aren't themselves comparable, but the general recurring theme is the theme of political strategies that bring in some aspects of the electorate and alienate others. In 2017, a report from the Adam Smith Institute, a right-wing market-oriented neoliberal think tank, caused some stir when it alleged...
I love how he had to give so many freaking labels on that before describing what it was, so that he can. So he's in terms of persuasion and communication research and theory, he preloaded that to make it think that so that whatever his audience is about to hear from these people should be discounted. Libertarian right-wing think tank. Don't listen to it.
That academia has constantly shifted more left ever since the 1960s, and that there is a overrepresentation of left or liberal views in academia.
Well,
However,
true.
this report cited only a single 2015 online UK self-selecting survey, which
Self-selecting survey. Do you want me more clear? I have not read this, but I can... You don't want me to read this, do you? Because I'll devastate you, homie.
admittedly did point towards a almost 50% slant towards the Labour Party in the UK, with only 11% surveyed self-professed university staff saying they'd vote.
These are not good stats, by the way. Did this video come out this year?
Yeah, I did, like a few months ago, I think.
Why is he using 2015 statistics? There's 2021, 2022, 2023 data on this that shows that it's closer to like 80%. Why is he... Oh, he's using this old survey from 2015, which found that only 50% leans left in the UK by self-report. You want to look at the US in current year? Look, go back to, use a 2015 survey from the US of academia. You'll find that it's 80 to 90% left-leaning. Oh, you wouldn't want to do that, would you? Weird.
For the conservative, let's look at the facts according to surveys for Norway. A survey from 2021 showed
Norway. Why is he not using the US?
It's because Norway is his home country. He's Norwegian.
Oh, okay. But why would you not use the US when you're talking about the US? You're talking about the United States. Why would you not use US data? I don't care about Norway in this instance. Why would you not use US data? Oh, because you use UK and Norway data? Not US data? Caught you, bitch. Caught you. Use US data for once.
showed that the center-left
What a
Social
dick.
Democratic Party got 19.3% of the vote, which underperformed their actual electoral result.
Because there's like
3%.
30
The
parties
Socialist
in
Left
Norway.
Party got 18.7%.
Because as you can
Their
see,
electoral
there's
result
like
of
30 parties. There's
7.6%.
10
The
parties in
right-wing
Norway.
Conservatives got 16.4,
Holy
underperforming
shit.
compared to their
What a
electoral
disingenuous
20.4.
hack.
And the far-left Red Party got 6.7, compared to their electoral 4.7, and the far right, Progress Party, got 6.3, compared to their 11.6. As you can see, it seems that the parties further on the left end of the spectrum overperform among students, while the center-left and right-wing ones underperform. And, as you can also see, socialist left is absurdly popular among students. Professors of social sciences, the category you'd find history in, are actually further left than that. About half of them vote for the three parties that I would
This is me,
deem
by the way.
far-left alternatives in Norwegian politics, those being the Green Party, Socialist Left Party, and the Red Party. For America, in 2014, the HERI
Thank you.
faculty survey, which asks
Finally.
respondents to identify themselves as far-left, liberal, moderate, conservative, or far-right, showed that 60% of professors identify as far-left or liberal. There's also found to be correlation between high levels of education and
Thank you for finally
liberal
getting to
political
an
values.
actually
Now, it's
important
important
statistic.
to note that in the American political experience, there are hot-button issues that separate the parties, and these differences are real, and they can have pretty severe consequences on people's.
All right, 1 second. I have to go. 1 second. I gotta go grab something. I gotta get my charger for my vape because I'm weird. I'll be right back. Go ahead. You guys can obviously the video is cool to go.
No,
All right.
we can wait for you.
No. Go ahead. I'll be right back. No, don't do dead air.
Alright.
Don't do
so,
that.
Lavada, what did you eat for the dinner today?
So this morning I ate a delicious kebab from the local Turk.
Of
You
course
know,
did.
gotta support the small gotta support the small businesses.
Oh, God. Oh, well. So, gentlemen, are you enjoying the chat today? I hope you are.
Well, I mean, it's not exactly my experience, but I think our time will come in the next video because we did actually talk about this one in DMs one time, right?
Well, I believe we talked about it multiple times. I believe, when was it? Was it like a year ago or something like that?
No, I think I mentioned it only recently to you about Freda.
My brain is completely fried. I don't remember anymore. But I mean, I remember. I did watch the Objectivity video regards to history, and I mean, can I say? I mean, I guess we were gonna have more time later to talk about it, but
Yeah.
we don't want to spoil the good audience, I suppose. Now we have to wait for the
All right.
moment to arrive. There we
Alright.
go.
Okay.
Finally, I don't have to pretend I know how to make conversation.
No, thanks, you guys. Because I'm sorry for also if I'm dominating the conversation, but
No, it's
I mean, it's
fine.
fine.
I have not much to add. It's not my topic, and I cannot talk about something I don't know.
okay, true. Fine. That's totally cool. I
mean-
hate this stuff.
I mean, look. I mean, to be fair, we're only like 37 minutes in, and we already went through like half the video. So this is a brand new record.
Yeah, we're doing really well. We're going quite fast through this video for our normal.
I mean, if it goes on, we might actually have to add in a third one.
Oh, jeez. All right. Well, if you got a third one, let's go. Let's see how we get through it.
People's lives. But a lot of the time, they're not polar opposite ideologies. The liberals in this
Yeah, they are.
country are not
Kinda.
Marxists. This correlation between liberals
But they are. They are
into
Marxists.
account the actual
No,
earnestly far
but they are Marxists. They are explicitly Marxists by their own contention. So I don't know where the fuck you're getting this from.
left
whatever.
and left-wing positions that many claim have taken control over academia. We're not talking about the establishment of a dictatorship of the proletariat or the destruction of the American military-industrial complex here. We're talking about tax percentages and which month you should be able to abort a fetus in.
No, we're talking
How
about
someone should be allowed to say the
Hang
N-word.
on. We're talking about the expressed ideological position of academia and academics, which is explicitly. I love how he used those specific examples. Like, I have this one from the UK and this one from Norway. I don't have any from the US while talking about the US academic system. Very cute. Very cute. I noticed that. Got it. Look at the US academic system. Ask them. Because I've seen the data on that. It's like 80% call themselves far left. Okay, why don't you look at those data? You didn't like those data. Again, like if this was like 10 years ago, I'd be like, maybe he's confused. You could look at recent data that would show that it's like 80% consider themselves left or far left. Just, why didn't you look at that? Weird. In your repudiation of this, that you couldn't look at actual data from the United States. Very, very curious.
Very important issues to a lot of people for sure, but it's important to note that the general ideological positionings of the people arguing for either side of these issues aren't that far apart.
Yes, they are.
Even if their positions on these specific issues are. Conservatives and liberals agree on most things.
Nope.
They just
No.
have very strong disagreements.
Nope.
Important issues that can have severe consequences for some people. My point here is to say these
It's
surveys
incorrect.
that indicate a liberal trend.
Hang on. That's incorrect. No, we don't. We don't agree. We do not agree. There are some things that we can agree on. That's why I try to talk to leftists. But no, we don't agree. That's an absurd position. We do not agree.
That depends on the type of person you're talking about. Like, if you're talking about someone that is ideological, involved, someone that is, the type of person that talks a lot about ideology and politics is the type of person that is very politically involved.
Yeah.
That type of person, if you have two politically involved persons of opposite ideologies talking, they will never find common ground. But you have more like the average idiot, I suppose, let's call it, John from the corner, that just works 9 to 5 and, goes, has a wife and etc.
Yes.
Usually those type of people tend to have, like, be closer, just have some mild disagreements.
Well, it's not just him. It's even me. You make some decent arguments to me, because I'm not trying to fight with people. One, I'm a woman. That's the big thing. But two, I'm not trying to fight with people. Unless you're very, very ideologically convicted and a fighter kind of person. You have to have a specific personality. Just be like, okay, we can agree to disagree. If you're an amicable kind of person, be like, okay, whatever. That's what they want, and then they see someone like this sees that as agreement with leftism, even though it's not. But at the same time, he's also saying there is no leftism in academia, which is incomprehensible to me. He has to pull from very specific studies. I have been in the past accused of cherry picking. What this guy's done is the definition of cherry picking. He's been like, well, in 2015 there was this poll in the UK and there was this poll in Norway, but where's the poll for the United States? Look at the polling in the United States, because you will find exactly what everyone is talking about. You don't want to look at that, do you? Because it would ruin your argument, because your argument is farcical. What a dipshit.
Trend in institutions do not indicate an overt left-wing capture of them, and especially not
it
a
does, though.
Marxist one. All
Yeah, it
of
does,
these
though.
numbers give us indications, but they're no more
No.
conclusive.
Where's the numbers from the US? Where are the numbers from the US? Why did you disclude the United States when talking about the United States? All of these numbers from the UK and Norway, where are the US numbers? Why won't you report on them? What a piece of shit. I hate people like this, dude.
Than the general vibe many people get that history or academia is dominated by the left, or that there is some secret
It
left-wing
is.
agenda at
It
play.
is.
I tried to look for
There
anything a
is.
bit more conclusive or even more indicative, but was unable to find anything. If there's something out there that I
Oh,
missed,
you weren't able to
sincerely
find
apologize.
anything.
However,
Whoa! You weren't able to find anything? I don't know. Try spending more than 5 seconds on it. Where are you looking for your information on? Fucking Twitter?
Probably.
This makes me irate. Sorry, Latin Wolfgang, but like this. How are you not able to find evidence on this? It's everywhere. It's literally every statistic. Just look up the US statistics on this. You weren't able to find it, limited in scope, no mean conclusive. What this little statement here is him saying, I'm going to keep talking shit, but I kind of have to admit that I didn't do any work.
I honestly have a feeling that he's kind of trying to gaslight. Like in some way, I don't know how to explain, but I just have this feeling.
That's how it comes off. He's saying, like, I wasn't able to find this information. When I say I can't find information, it's because I've done extensive research. He didn't bother. I'm not able to produce this evidence.
Like I'm gonna try something out. Okay, I'm about to Google USA academia poll political leanings.
Yeah, you can find it. It'll be on Pew. It's on Pew even. I guarantee.
There it is. Pew Research Center. The growing
it.
partisan divide in views of higher education.
Yep.
Among those who saw political leaning, majority of Republicans and Democrats said campuses lean more liberal than conservative.
Yeah, could you send me the
Okay,
link so I
okay.
can put it on screen? Oh,
I'm gonna send it to you.
yeah.
Okay, let's see. Americans seem. Oh, look at this increase in the share of Americans saying colleges have negative effect on the U.S. is driven by Republicans
Oops.
changing views.
That's interesting.
Okay, percent of saying colleges and universities have a positive negative effect on the way things are going in the country.
Look at this.
Okay, look at this. So
Okay.
among Republicans, look at this. 2019 negative is at 59%, positive is on at 33%, but among Dems it has always been high, completely high.
Yep. They have very much a lot of trust in the academic system.
Most Democrats have confidence in college professors to act in the public interest. Republicans are divided.
Yep.
Most Americans have doubt about the direction of higher education in the U.S. All adults, 61%. Republicans leaning. Okay, there is a bit of more of a divide on the Democrat part. Large partisan gaps in reasons why higher education is headed in the wrong direction. Like, bro, this is literally a 5-second Google search.
This is what's so disgusting about this video. It takes a 5-second Google. I told, and what did I say before you Googled it? I said I guarantee there's Pew data on this. What'd you find? A Pew article on it immediately. And the reason why I knew that is because I've looked at this. Because this is my field. So you're lying. You're just a liar, dude. You're just a weaselly little liar, dude, to quote Hassan. You're a weaselly little liar, dude. Let's get back into this.
However, if there isn't, then it's likely because these sorts of political leanings are a bit hard to survey and
No, they are not difficult to survey.
You just say, oh yeah, it's so fucking difficult to just walk up a guy and ask him, hey, are you left or right wing?
Okay.
Because apparently that is difficult.
Okay, there are some difficulties in methodology as it concerns political stuff. There are a lot of difficulties. This one's not, though. Just ask professors, how do you identify? That there is no methodological issue there. It's anonymous, and I will tell you how I know that there's no methodological issue there. Now, people will always lie a little bit. They will. There's a whole bunch of surveying effects that can go into this. But in that, it's something called social desirability bias. The people will try to answer how they think they want the surveyor to accept them, even though they're anonymous. So there might actually be a left-wing bias towards this. It might actually be that way, because there's no right-wing bias. There's nothing they gain by being right-wing biased. If they're left-wing biased, that's fine. If they're right-wing biased, they might lose their job. That being said, in the research I just looked at regarding plagiarism, something like 70% of academics said, oh yeah, I know someone who plagiarized. I know someone who stole. I know about it, I didn't report it. That is, if they're willing to admit that in surveys, trust me, they're willing to tell you what their political beliefs are. But you're not willing to look at them, are you, homie? Because you're not looking at the studies we just looked at. We just Pew data. You won't even look at it. What a dipshit.
quantify properly. They're very diffuse with a lot of seemingly inconsistent positions. Surveys towards students and professors are voluntary, and many are only administered in certain locations and not others.
No,
Skew
so?
things. I'm going to
No, it
cite
doesn't
that
skew.
in
No,
its
it doesn't
entirety
skew.
the question of whether
No, it doesn't skew. No, it doesn't skew. Oh my god. No, it doesn't skew. This drives me. This is insane. This drives me fucking insane. You are not a statistician. You don't understand what the fuck you're talking about. You truly don't understand it. This makes me go, oh, no, you've driven me now. Thanks, love. Because I'm now incensed. It's called statistical significance, you cunt. Holy shit. Oh my god, let's get through this.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
It's gonna drive me insane. It's gonna drive me insane.
whether or not left-wing partisanship is a good or a bad thing. That's a whole different can of worms. Surveyed professors here in Norway do seem like they prefer a diversity of views and opinions, though.
Oh,
Yeah, Norway.
In Norway, yeah.
Norway.
So in Norway, it's one way.
Okay, look. If this video was about Norway, then okay, fine. But if you are,
Generalizations, though.
if you are talking about academia in general, then you're gonna have to pull up more examples than just Norway. and
No,
maybe
actually, I
the
would go as
UK.
far as to say, if you have to talk academia in general, then
Yeah.
you would have to spend like fucking 3 years of your life doing it, because to talk in general is to talk about in general. It's not just America, it's not just Europe, it's the general world. You have to have data
It
about
would
all
take you
that.
years. I do it every goddamn week. I read half the papers that I came across, and this is very telling. Almost a significant portions of the papers that I came across involving academic plagiarism were from Turkey, and it's because the West has stopped investigating plagiarism. Why do you think that is? Turkey's the only country that appears to still care. I don't know why, but it's non-Western
even-
nations. They give a shit. Not
How are
Western
the how are the fucking Turks outperforming us in academia?
crazy, right?
I mean, they have a tradition of doing that.
True, but they do have a tradition in doing that. But the Turks are at least more concerned with plagiarism than the West is. The West has totally stopped investigating plagiarism. It's only the only people that I could find that were doing modern research on it were Turks, and that's
Well,
not the
there is
only
also-
case. Not the
well,
only
to
thing I
be
found
fair-
in that. Yeah, go ahead.
To be fair, we also have the problem that today the people that police most academics are also academics.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
exactly,
we don't
exactly.
have like a third neutral party to do so.
Mhm.
Usually, like, you know, the more uniform, an academic field is, the worse it becomes.
Mhm.
Because you get less dissident voices and you get less critical, approach towards someone.
Yeah, exactly. It has been a problem for a long time. In that, because it's all academics policing themselves. And by the way, what I found in that research is that they said, both the Turks and which was the majority of the research, but everyone said, if you found an instance of plagiarism, would you report it to the institution? Something like 80% said no. I would never report that. I would never snitch. You should snitch. This is
Yeah,
why
'cause you
these
have
systems
to-
are fucked. This is why they're broken. They won't snitch. You should snitch. If you found someone who stole and plagiarized, snitch. But they won't. Because they're afraid for their own jobs. And it's crazy. But that's the way it is.
And as I said,
And this dude who is I'm about to say something I would normally never say. This man is a layman. I don't normally like to say that word. This man's a layman. He doesn't understand academia. He is speaking from a layperson's perspective. That's cool and stuff, dude, but you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. But go ahead. Go off, sis.
apparently they're pretty far left. Instead, let's for the sake of argument accept that there is a left-wing tendency in academia, and that right-wing narratives
There
are
is.
losing ground.
There is demonstrably.
And then,
but
let's
you
try
chose
to
not look
imagine
into
what
it.
might be the cause of such a development.
I love this. He's like, let's
I've seen some
pretend.
people argue that the
Well,
political
he
positions
doesn't
of
look
the
into
left are
any
just
of the
more
fucking research on
compatible
this.
with academic findings because the positions
I
of
honestly,
the left are
honestly, at this point, I
I'm
really
pretty
just
far
think
left
that they are really just blatantly using many psychological tricks at this point.
Yeah. I mean, because, like, he chose not to look at the research on this. He chose not to look at the data on it. He chose very, very, very much cherry-picked his data. And then said, well, there's no evidence for it. There is. When I go into an area of analysis, right? When I'm looking at something, I read every study. And I oftentimes, very often, will cite studies that disagree with whatever my perspective is. And I say, hey, here's a contradictory study. So we don't know. This is the difference, right? This is the fucking difference. God damn.
correct. I'm pretty
Go ahead.
I'm pretty far left, and I don't think I agree with that notion. I think there's something else
Oh, you are?
of the correct ideas.
No
It's that a
shit.
specific confluence of right-wing strategies is coming into conflict with academic findings, whereas left-wing strategies just aren't. Academic findings and, quote, facts don't inherently belong to any political wing. We, in the
No,
way we
that's true.
interpret the findings, choose to label or contextualize them within our present political
True,
system and
true.
the political alternatives therein. In America, the presently viable alternatives are the Democrats and the Republicans. When you label something in American politics as left-wing, you're comparing it to either the American political climate or you're contextualizing it in a historical political perspective. An example would be you're saying something is left-wing because it more closely agrees with the politics of the Democratic Party. Or you might say it's right-wing because it agrees with the general right-leaning politics of America, if you
This
were
is
to
all
place it in a global or
boilerplate
historical
shit.
perspective. America has no electorally viable socialist or communist parties, for example. Its politics skews further right
Now
than
you
many
see-
other
now you see where
countries.
he's
It's
upset.
not that facts
He's upset there's no commie party in the US that has any power.
No, there
There-
is. It's just irrelevant.
Yeah, it's irrelevant. Exactly. Now we see where his actual issue comes in.
Lean to either side.
He's basically, I think he's basically trying to argue, I'm upset that it's not more left-wing biased.
Yep, exactly, Lev. Exactly.
Lean to either side. It's that either side chooses to relate themselves to the facts and the findings in different ways. I got the idea for this video in November 2022 when I saw a Twitter post by David Vevers.
Okay.
Really?
The right thinks historians bring left-wing prejudices to their study of empire. The truth is, most historians are radicalized by the study of empire, its violence, exploitation, injustice, and the centuries-long project to stifle critique of imperialism. To not be is sociopathic. What?
This is the
I
tweet.
just want to say something.
So he
say
made this whole
something.
video because of this
Victorian
tweet.
historians are a thing.
Sorry, go ahead, Wolfgang. Sorry.
No, I wasn't that to say. Victorian historians are very famous
Yeah.
for, I don't think they were very critical of empire, but that's just me. Like, it really depends on the context you're talking about. An historian
he's-
by himself
I-
studying empire doesn't make him right wing or left wing. Depends on how he studies an empire.
Mm.
Like, a lot of people are, circle jerking fucking the British Empire to this day. You have a lot of academics. Best example I can give you is actually the way we saw the German Reich, the historiography of Nazi Germany, During the 1960s and 50s and 70s, until very recently, people saw Nazi Germany as like, oh, the Tiger, the Panzer, oh, Wunderwaffe, oh, the rockets, these
It's actually really
crazy
funny.
technologies.
This is really
Yeah?
funny. I was in terms of the also I'm drinking Stella Artois, by the way, which is from Belgium. Bill got a big case of him. It's my last one. I was talking to a Jewish friend of mine. He was born in Germany. He now lives in Israel. He speaks German. He fucking. I was like, man, I'm gonna get beer drunk. So I'm just gonna like sit here and get drunk and listen to some music. And he was like, I'll hang out with you. Zephyr Tempest, if you're in the chat, if you hear this. Thanks, man. It was a fun time. He sent me all these fucking German war songs. And it was like, yeah, that shit's based. It's cool. And as a German Jew who lives in Israel, by the way. Like, it's just, all of these ideas are so...
Ingrained.
It's not ingrained. It's based on a very... if I'm being clear, I don't know where David Vevers is from. But all of this comes off to me as inherently and intrinsically and deeply Americentric. It's like this weird American worldview of things. People who have no idea of anyone outside of them. This is Americentric to me. Yeah,
I mean, let's be fair. Americans are not famous for their scores in geography tests.
Yeah. Yep. True.
I literally remember. By the way, it reminds me of this one video. Like, I think maybe you two saw it, where this guy like went up to like random Americans, and asked them like his historical questions, and just like made it like a giant like timeline and just put all of their answers into it. I don't know if you guys saw it, but basically there was this one guy who said that George Washington fought in the Civil War.
They don't know. They don't know anything.
I mean, I've
It's
seen
astonishing.
someone say that the capital Italy is France. So. Am I to judge?
It's astonishing. I think this is why I'm a monarchist, though. I think it's probably why all of us are monarchists. The average person is a fucking idiot. I'm an idiot. To be fair, I would say that.
But some people are bigger idiots than others.
Yes. So that's why I don't want idiots to have control of the polity, because idiots don't make good decisions. They just make decisions based on group, social identity, justifications. And social identity does have its place, but in terms of human psychology, but it's not good for ruling. It's not good for ruling.
That actually reminds me, because I feel like a lot of the problems that we have encountered is suddenly when the era of mass politics was introduced. Because before, politics was, well, okay, how do I explain? So the way I see it in the past, politics was more of a gentleman's game, so to say.
See, women should be
How do I
involved in
say?
it at all. I don't think men should be largely involved with it. No one should be. Democracy is a failure. Aristotle told us this. He predicted it. He was completely correct. Aristotle has not as find me where Aristotle's been wrong yet. Okay, not is the answer. Aristotle called it, and he's yet to be proven wrong. I don't think women should vote. I don't think men should vote, but I definitely think women should vote. If someone is going to vote, it cannot be women. Women are, and I say that it's not because I hate women. Not because I mean, go ahead, sorry.
I mean, look, like a lot of ideologies in general just took shape in an era when politics, again, was predominantly seen as the realm of gentlemen. And this period was marked by, extensive intellectual debates within parliamentary settings conducted by educated men.
Yes.
And these discussions involved not only rational argumentation, but also philosophical. And then suddenly, when mass politics was introduced, when literally like 90% of the population was taken into account, now politics is more about who can lie more and get. Yeah, exactly. I really think everything started going bad when universal suffrage was introduced.
I agree.
I don't
100%.
think it's much about the mass politics, but rather the commercialization of politics. Like nowadays we see politics. I mean, for fuck's sake, what is a presidential campaign? You see ads, you see billboards. Tell me, what's different from Coca-Cola? Politics are
exactly.
Yeah.
It's advertisement, as you said. It's advertisement. It is advertisement. There's nothing else to it. And you're also right as well, Lav, which is that when you had limited voting, it was people who were most invested in it who would have an interest in voting and have a real their body politic was invested in their body, right, in terms of their outcomes. So the body politic is invested in the body of the voter. That doesn't exist anymore to the same degree. It's voting at this point is so absolutely pointless. It means nothing. And that's why women shouldn't vote. I will stand by this. I don't think anyone should vote, honestly, because I'm a monarchist, but if anyone is going to vote, it should be wealthy, land-owning men. The end. Don't really care.
Actually, wait, there is a... Like, I'm trying to find it right now. There is this passage in this book I have been reading about this exact issue. Wait, let me tell... Okay, long-term preconditions. Okay, just a second.
I love that you have the actual book, because usually I only have it. I only have my books in like PDF formats.
Okay. Here it is. By the way, listen to this. Quote. Some of the first switches on the tracks leading to fascism and communism were thrown with the first enduring European experiments with manhood suffrage following the revolutions of 1848. Up to that time, both conservatives and liberals had generally tried to limit the electorate to the wealthy and the educated, responsible citizens capable of choosing among issues of broad principle. After the revolutions of 1848, while most conservatives and cautious liberals were trying to restore limits to the right to vote, a few bold and innovative conservative politicians chose instead to gamble on accepting a mass electorate and trying to manage it. The adventurer Louis Napoleon was elected president of the Second French Republic in December 1848 by manhood suffrage, using simple imagery and what is called today quote-unquote name recognition. President Louis Napoleon boldly championed manhood suffrage, even after he had made himself Emperor Napoleon III in a military coup d'etat in December 1851. He let all male citizens vote for a phantom parliament. Against the liberals' preference for a restricted, educated electorate, the emperor pioneered the skillful use of simple slogans and symbols to appeal to the poor and little educated. And that's exactly what it's been all about now.
Yes.
I like that quote, by the way.
That's a fantastic
it's
quote.
Voting management. I like that quote.
It's a fantastic quote, and it's also it's a fantastic quote because it's so illustrative of the problem we find ourselves in. It's the little educated, the emotional, who vote based on their little educated, emotional perspective. They don't give a shit about reality. They just give a shit about their emotions. And that is why women definitely should not vote. And look, as a woman, I know that when I say stuff like that, people will like say I'm being a pick-me or something. No. I don't think anybody should vote, okay? So it's not just women. But women in particular should not vote because and I am saying this realistically, and any woman who's being serious with herself can agree with this. Women overwhelmingly cannot be. Some women can. You have to have a touch of the tism. But overwhelmingly, women cannot make rational decisions. They make decisions based on emotion. That doesn't hurt my feelings, by the way.
And by the way, I just okay. Let me just read one more passage, like from this. I think this is like the conclusion. So, similarly, in the new German Empire he completed in 1871, Bismarck chose to manipulate a broad suffrage in his battles against liberals. It would be absurd to call these authoritarians fascists, but they were clearly pioneering in terrain that fascists would later master. By choosing to manipulate a mass electorate rather than to disenfranchise it, they parted company with both conservatives and liberals, and with politics as then practiced, in the form of learned discussion among notables chosen by a deferential public to govern on its behalf.
That's fascinating. That's exactly what Aristotle said as well. In terms of, it's a expansion upon Aristotle's belief. You only get fascism out of democracy. Democracy breeds fascism. And so when I hear all these weirdo leftoids say, like, my democracy, what they mean is my fascistic or my totalitarian regime. That's what they mean when they say that. Us as monarchists, I think, have a different perspective. We are trying, I believe, to preserve liberty in the best way possible. What people who advocate democracy, what they really mean is my political hegemony. That's what they mean, and that's what they do when they say that. They do it, they have done it, and they always will do it throughout with perpetuity, right? It never ends.
In the end, it makes it so. Again, it was only when mass politics was introduced was when ideas such as fascism and communism managed to start ravaging everyone. Like, I unironically believe that, okay, like, I'm not an autocrat, like, I still believe in democracy, but not this mass well, I don't, when I say, like, I support democracy, what I say, I don't mean, like, this mass politics version of democracy we have today. Like, I would certainly abolish universal suffrage and, again, restrict it to a more educated class, because okay, in your views, Aiden, it may not be perfect like an autocracy, but at least it's better than mass politics.
Sure, I agree. Any restriction is better than none. I would agree. My perspective is absolute monarchy, which I did not used to believe in. Spoon convinced me of it. Not just Spoon. Spoon has helped me come to that conclusion, but it was mostly Erfan Kunaliden. His writings really.
I remember.
He does not advocate for absolute monarchy, by the way, but his writings made me convinced.
By the way, this reminds me of a certain quote, like that really stuck with me. It basically goes like this: democracy is the system in which two idiots can outvote a genius.
Yep, that's what it is.
I mean, that's the problem with, the idea that voting is granted by default, like, for example, in Athens, that's the best example I use because it's the one I actually admire the most, ancient Athens. In order for you to vote, you had to be educated, you had to go to military service, you had to do something. Voting was not a right, it was a privilege. You have a privilege to rule the country. You have a privilege to be part of the political aspect. And in my personal opinion, I think that's a bit of the problem we have today. The idea that voting is a granted right. There we go vote. Like, we have so much people don't go to vote. Why? It's a banality. Something banal. The idea of voting is not something that's taken serious. Something that, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it to,
Yeah.
It's something that people don't value at all. And as a result has become lost the quality there, like politicians, that, for example, when America became independent, like during the 1820s, Congress, people would go to Congress to watch the senators arc. They would use, philosophy, they would use history, they would have these intellectual debates, because they were valued, people valued them. There was this value, that idea that voting in the political system is something that has to be, guaranteed, safeguard, and most important, it has to be something that is, people respect. And I
And
think
then
that's the
meanwhile,
problem
and
for
then meanwhile,
criticism today.
and then if you literally look at the American presidential debates, like between Trump and Biden, it was literally like watching two seniors arguing over who will get the pudding for dinner.
Yeah, true. Who is the pudding? Exactly. It's the truth about democracy, I think, is largely shrouded in, at least in America. This is why all the people that I talk to about, largely speaking, about monarchism or about anti-democracy, not in terms of like, let's put an economy system into place, but in terms of we need to have serious conversations about the failures of democracy, are not from America. Because Americans seem to have this very... It's a block, it's a stone in the way, where they've been so inculcated into what I'm going to call the cult of democracy that they cannot see its faults, even when they are made evident prima facie, even when they are made...
Or by the way, they'll literally just then resort, yeah, but democracy is a bad system, but the others are worse.
Exactly. But the others are worse. What's that stupid fake thing they always bring up to me? Prima nocta? Like, oh, but the king can go fuck any woman he wants on his... like, what?
Okay, so?
But there's also no evidence that ever happened. Ever. There's no evidence that ever happened. It's a complete modern fairy tale. But, so, all of our hatred towards monarchy that the West has is based largely on because I always say prima noctis, or whatever. That's
because
what I always hear.
It's basically the thought that just because someone can, they will do it.
That is the fear. Because they can, they will. However, that is not in the best interest of the king. No one understands that, because I think that... excuse me. We're talking about prima noctis, or whatever, with the king, when Joe Biden and potentially Donald Trump went to Jeff Epstein's island and fucked kids. I'm including Trump in that, because I don't know if he did or not. He seems to not have, but I'm not entirely sure he didn't. And I'm very skeptical of that. All these people, all these actors, all these famous people went to Jeff Epstein's island and potentially raped children. This stream's totally fucked now in terms of the getting but I
We
don't
had
care.
our first moment.
I don't care. It's the truth. Really? You think everybody went to this island and effed kids? Sick. If Trump did that, I'm done with him. I'm done with all these people. But apparently that's the current state of things. Let's go back into the video. I suppose.
British Empire, who said the following, and I can't do a Bob Burgers impression, so I'm just going to read it in my own voice. The right think historians bring left-wing prejudices to their study of empire. The truth is, most historians are radicalized by the study of empire, its violence, exploitation, injustice, and the centuries-long project to stifle critique of...
Thank you for using a tweet as proof.
Not to mention, like, I believe, like, when it comes to these things, it's that I feel like a lot of the modern liberals and still are guilty of this. Like every time like they try to analyze and talk about empires and such, they look at it through our own today's morals and then apply it to that period, because this may shock you all, but what is right and wrong was completely different back then. Like let me give a great example. In the medieval period, guess what? People were wed much younger. Like I have even seen a couple of times they were like kings. They not betrothed but already married, like
13,
10 or 9
yeah.
10, 9, 11-year-old girls, because guess what? For that period, it was completely normal. There was no thing such as age of consent or something.
Yeah, let's talk about why though. So it's a misnomer that everyone in the medieval period or pre-medieval period died very young. That's
I mean, yeah.
That's a misnomer. However, the likelihood that you would die in childbirth is way higher in the medieval period.
Exactly. This is why a lot of these people had so many kids.
Sex with 10, 12, 13-year-olds. Only Muhammad was. No offense, but I know you're.
I mean, he wasn't actually. I mean, there is also a lot of evidence to prove that she was actually older, like
Okay.
around 16 or 17. So
Which
overall,
was pretty normative at the time, if that's how old she was.
I mean, yeah, I mean, that's why, like, I also believe, I do believe she was older, but even if she was like 9 or 10, again, for that period, it wasn't that strange. I mean, again, if like again, kings in Europe were already marrying 10 or 9-year-old girls.
Yeah, we have
so
to put things into historical perspective. That yeah, people did not. The idea that everyone died when they were 20 in the medieval period or pre-medieval period is wrong. But at the same time, the likelihood of dying in childbirth and the likelihood that a woman would die in childbirth was very, very high, no matter what her age was. So I understand, and that's why men often had multiple wives, which now in the modern perspective comes off as weird and crazy. But like, wow, why do you keep marrying other women? Like, well, the thing.
Oh, it also it's to do with the geographical conditions. We are
Yeah,
talking about Arabia.
Mm-hmm.
Like food, shelter. What was that over there?
Yeah.
So the likelihood of you dying and not having an heir, it's it's Europe, but 20 times worse. So makes it's a necessity to have multiple wives.
What's insane about this is to apply these historical perspectives before modern medical knowledge to the modern perspective. That's nuts. You can't just take things that happened in history and then just say like, well, why didn't they do these things? That shit didn't exist. Like, it wasn't a possibility. And that's what it drives me nuts. It's like, well, why did the king do that? Like, because there wasn't modern medicine? Maybe that's why? I don't know. Maybe that's why the king often had, like, kind of women in the background.
yeah.
You need a male heir.
Yeah, of course, but like overall, like the point is, the time periods in which these people lived in was entirely different. What was right or wrong is also different. Of course, we could say, okay, from our modern perspective today, that is wrong.
Yes.
But to say to basically apply modern morals to the morals back then, I mean, that is. I think that is a genuine fallacy.
It is, yes.
I'm
not in favor of this. Obviously, I think that we all are not in favor of or not supporting having sex with young girls, right? But we're trying to put a historical perspective on it to say like, hey, things were different then. Try not to use your 21st century mindset to apply to something that happened in the 1500s. 1400s. That's all I think it is, right? 1,000 years ago. It's pointless.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's continue.
Of imperialism to not be a sociopathic. The subject you study, the sources and evidentiary material you read shapes who you are. A historian's work is a constant back and forth between the historian and the source, bringing the past into the present. When they do so, those struggles and situations are placed in a contemporary perspective, and then that perspective is again shaped by the sources. The worldview of the historian is constantly being influenced by the forces acting upon them as a figure existing in the present, and by the way the sources end up relating to that experience. The sources and their interpretations by other historians aren't explicitly making you left-wing, but they are leading you to search for specific kinds of solutions to the problems that you see in the sources, which you might see echoed in present society as holdovers of those past struggles or as continuations of them. Here are two examples. Imagine that you're—
Oh, no, hang on. First of all, I can't believe that his source here is a tweet. Or 2 tweets. That's crazy. That's ludicrous. Secondly, what? No. Go back just 1 second. This is making you more radicalized? This is what I think this is really about. They do not want you to study history, because if you study history, you will understand that things aren't as simplistic as the left tells you that it is. So don't study history. That's what I think this tweet is alluding to. Do you guys agree?
Yeah.
Well,
Don't study
in
history,
my
otherwise you're a
opinion-
sociopath.
well, the thing is, communists see history as a war between classes. So if you look at history, but instead of looking at what you have in front of you, you look at it through the class. You put some glasses and then you just look at class. If you just look at it like that, you will just see misery. Because if you go into history just expecting, all right, I know society is made of classes, so I'm gonna look at Napoleon. How does Napoleon fall into the class war? You can never understand history. And I think that's a problem that a lot of Marxists have, is that they cannot divorce their ideological understanding of the world from history itself. They cannot look at, for example, Napoleon and see a man that, at its faults, at its, its qualities, and I curse saying that, but overall it's a complex man. No, it is an autocrat. He's the top of the food chain, and then you have the people on the bottom. Why did he went to war? Clearly, the capitalists. Or why else would he go to war?
Exactly.
I think that's the biggest problem. It's if you don't try to, leave the ideology behind when you study a subject, you cannot understand the subject.
Very true. The chat keeps telling me to invite some guy called Chicken. I don't know who this is.
Oh boy, here we go again.
Is it this? This has happened every time.
It's a chilly a neo-Nazi.
Look, oh, he's a neo-Nazi. Well, you can get fucked.
It's from basically some of my friends,
Okay.
old followers from my old Discord, and they kind of like to fuck around a bit, so this is
Oh,
why.
okay, it's a meme. Okay, all right, fine.
Basically.
Well, no thanks. If he wants to come on, he's welcome, but if he's legitimately a neo-Nazi, I'm not gonna agree with him.
He was already banned from like the main server for supporting the what solution.
Ah, okay, then no, he can get fucked. No, bye-bye. No, we're not having you on the channel. Bye-bye. Okay, let's continue.
Kinds of solutions to the problems that you see in the sources, which you might see echoed in present society as holdovers of those past struggles or as continuations of them. Here are two examples. Imagine that you're a historian of the American Civil War. You spent your work week reading the diaries and letters of Robert E. Lee and how brutal his treatment of his slaves was, and how he destroyed entire families of black Americans.
Wow, that's kind of insane. Why are you choosing just Lee? It's actually
Well,
not
what-
true. Also about Lee. Lee freed some of his slaves.
Well, the thing is, it is kind of true that,
believe.
the thing is, Lee did not really add slave of his own, but his wife had.
Yeah.
And his wife was into debt.
Yeah.
A lot of debt. So how do you get out of debt?
Dunno.
Lee put the slaves to work, let's just be honest, it was not necessarily the most pleasant, but after the debt was paid, he did release them, So,
What I would say about this...
it's not simple black and
Yes.
white. It's not just black and white.
Black and white, huh? But the thing
I
is...
did not expect that way, but sure.
What's thing about slavery is that it is the most repugnant institution that has ever existed in the United States or anywhere. But slavery has existed everywhere. It exists to this day. All over the world, outside of the West. The West is the only place where it's been destroyed. Sorry, go ahead.
And you know what all of these countries which today practice slavery have in common?
What is it?
They're all dirt fucking poor, not even industrialized.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I mean, for example, like when it comes to slavery and such, like I believe slavery will, eventually get, replaced when a country becomes more prosperous, more industrialized, because, people will see slavery as a giant economic burden, so eventually it will get outlawed. And this is why, for example, people like to say, for example, like, this is why a lot of people, I've seen people saying that slavery is like inherent to a specific group, and like one specific group always advocates
nope.
For example, when it comes to us Muslims, like I've seen like, oh, Libya has modern slavery, that must mean slavery okay in Islam. No, Saudi Arabia, Oman, are very strict Sharia law countries, and all of them have outlawed slavery. Like Oman outlawed slavery on its own in like the 1960s when it actually started becoming more prosperous. This is an issue of development versus underdevelopment, not some religion or cultural thing.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
do you know when I know how slavery is gonna end?
Say
What?
again? Say again, Wolf?
You wanna know how slavery is gonna end?
How is slavery
How?
going to end?
When robots become as cheap as a bed.
And then we'll have a whole big argument
I mean-
about are
I
the
mean-
robots
I mean-
slaves?
They're not human. Look. Okay, let's say, for the sake of argument, okay, yes, they are slaves, but it's okay because they're not humans.
Well, they're not sentient, they're not even an animal. Or a being. They're not alive.
Okay,
Yeah.
so then I'd say it's okay.
Yeah.
And to be fair, like I get there is a lot of talks, today about the role of technology and how when robots get invented, start making jobs. Like we're all gonna lose our jobs because let's be like we have heard this type of talk like when the steam engine was first introduced or actual assembly line production. People we're gonna lose our jobs to this. No, what I believe is gonna happen is some more how do I say hard jobs like let's say manual labor is maybe gonna get overtaken by these, and then
Probably.
people will instead, and then a new market for new jobs is gonna expand, and people are gonna have to actually look for better education and get in and compete for these jobs than just dig dirt in a hole somewhere.
Well-
So in my opinion, I'd say
Actually,
I guess I'm gonna
I think ditch digging is going to. This is the funny thing. Actually, like manual labor jobs are going to become more and more important because a robot can't do that. A robot can do
Yet.
mostly what I do.
Yeah.
A robot so far cannot dig a ditch. It can't build a latrine, right? And in fact, like so for example,
Oh no, a robot can do that with trade.
maybe, but for example,
It's just not a normal robot, it's just a big machine.
Bill and I, we wanted to have a shower put in to our bathroom, right? It took 6 months of trying to get a guy to come and put the fucking shower in because he was so backlogged. Because there's so many people who need someone to just do stuff like that, to put in a shower. And it took 6 months to get our fucking shower put in, and then it took 3 months to get the shower put in, another 3 months to have it connected, and then like another 3 months. I think it's 9 months, almost a year, right, Bill? It took like a year to get that shower put in. But it took a year to get the shower put in because it was like 3 months to get it, to get the shower into the house. Another 3 months to get it. Yeah, another 3 months to get it like connected, and another 3 months to get it totally set up. It's about a year to get a
With all
shower
due respect,
installed.
Aiden, I think you got ripped off.
Maybe. Maybe. But there's so few people here who are willing to do those kinds of jobs. That's why they get paid a lot. And they're always busy. They're always busy. Because they have a million people who are trying to... Well, here, the whole island, there's 80,000 people on this whole island. They got 80,000 other people who are trying to get them to do something. So, yeah, they get bogged down. Let's continue.
Honestly, I would
Go
go
ahead,
as far as to say something else. Is that the idea that robots are gonna replace humans? I think that's a stupid idea
I agree.
because
Yeah.
if no humans have jobs, who's gonna buy the products that the robots make?
Yep.
You know?
How?
Like-
How could they buy the products?
And also, at the end of the day, even if robots take over like manual labor and such, you're still gonna need people to actually supervise them because
And
no
maintain them.
normal. Yeah, exactly. Again, what I mentioned, it's just gonna open up like a new market for newer jobs because back in the 1920s, jobs such as IT never existed. That got expanded as that market got introduced as technology advanced. I think that's what's probably going to happen as well. As technology advances, new fields of jobs are going to open up in the market, and then maybe some shittier jobs are maybe going to get switched out with robots but honestly, I wouldn't say I would have robots work in every damn field and such.
Yep.
Like I'd say like maybe again, maybe some manual labor or as cleaners. Okay, I think that would make sense, but overall, as society advances, new jobs are going to open up, new markets, and I don't think people are just going to go completely homeless again because, again, we have heard this story before. The steam engine, the production line, yada yada.
Yep, exactly. Let's listen to the rest of this commie's gobbledygook, then we can move into the next video. Holy shit. It's taken us 2 hours to get through. Nearly an hour and a half to get through.
And we ain't even
18
focusing on the
minutes.
points.
Yeah, well, we are
I
focusing.
mean, that's what makes this stuff interesting, after all.
Yeah, that's the point of these streams. That's why it's fun.
You see calls for the removal of a statue of Robert E. Lee from a public square so that it can be placed in a museum. And then you see right-wing...
Oh, no, you deceptive little cunt. They didn't put it in a museum. They cut his head off. How do they not... Can you stop lying? Stop lying for 5 seconds. They cut the head off of the statue. They tore the head off. They tore the statue down. They did this to statues of Robert E. Lee all over the country, all over the South. Now, I don't care if you like him or not, but he's a historical figure. They didn't put these into museums. If they did, it's because they were trying to protect them, the statues, from being destroyed. That's why.
Commentators speaking out over tearing down these statues of, quote, war heroes. Are you, as someone who was just immersed in the writings of this horrible man, going to go out and vote for...
Horrible man? You haven't illustrated why Robert E. Lee was horrible. You've explained, like, in his time, why you think he's horrible from a modern perspective, but was he a really horrible man?
Even from a modern day perspective, the guy, after the Civil War, was like forefront of like try to reconciliate America. He was, truth be told, there's a caveat. You know, he didn't think blacks were ready, but he wanted them to vote. He just didn't think they were ready.
I've been to the place where his arm is buried, because he got his arm shot off.
Lee?
Wait. Where is the rest of his
Stonewall
body?
Jackson.
I'm thinking of Jackson.
Jackson.
Robert E. Lee got his arm blown off.
No, Lee died peacefully after the Civil War.
Yes, probably is. Well, hilarious. I mean, that's insane that you know more about American history than I do. But I've been to the place. I've been to the resting place. I thought for sure it was Robert E. Lee.
No, like Lee was after the Civil War was like director of the university and everything.
Yeah, here it is. Robert E. Lee's right arm. It was buried, yes. This was Jackson, no. Robert Lee's right arm. Following his greatest victory at the Battle of Chancellorsville, Gen Thomas Stonewall Jackson was scouting ahead. Blah, blah, blah.
Got friendly fired.
Yeah, I think he did lose his arm here. He had lost his left arm, but I have lost my right. Lee's words proved prophetic. 8 days after the amputation, Stonewall Jackson was dead. So yeah, I have been to the place where his arm was amputated. Yeah. So he did lose his arm. All right. It was Jackson lost an arm. So did Lee. They both lost arms.
Lee lost a metaphorical arm.
Yeah. Right before he died. Yeah. Jackson lost an arm, and survived. I think. Lee lost an arm and then died like 8 days later. Curious. But I've been to, because I'm just saying, like, damn, I certainly remember being to the place where his arm's buried.
Yeah, because Stonewall Jackson, the body's different place from his arm.
Yeah. My dad is a Civil War historian. I don't claim to know anything like what my dad knows. My dad is a legit Civil War historian. That's his, not his job, but that's what he investigated his entire academic career. And not that my dad was an academic. My dad worked for the U.S. government. My dad was a Fed, you know. Don't get mad at me, Chad. My dad was a Fed. He's not. He's retired now, and he hates the government. Have you ever seen the show Parks and Recreation? Either of you?
No.
Don't worry about
I only watch The Office.
Okay, it's basically The Office, but it takes place in a government building. My
And
dad,
I know Ron Swanson
Yes.
is big anti-government guy.
my dad is just Ron Swanson. Like, legitimately, my dad is just Ron Swanson.
He is so me.
Yeah, literally, he is me. He's him. So that's how I grew up as a kid. Like, my dad's Ron Swanson, so a different perspective on things. As a former government employee, and at the time when I was a kid, a government employee, had a different perspective on things. Anywho.
For the people who are defending the record of Robert E. Lee. Maybe you're writing a book on the fight for the 8-hour workday, reading about the countless
I'm not a Fed
efforts
psyop
to murder
chat.
union organizers and activists fighting for basic rights, and you see a right-wing politician defending Amazon's union-busting efforts as a means to prevent union bosses from stifling the free market's economic activity. Historians aren't bringing left-wing biases into history, and universities aren't turning them left-wing. History is pushing
What?
and away from others. Learning
No,
from history
you
forces
are
you to
having
relate
to-
it to the present, and
No,
there are
no,
just
no.
certain policy
That's why you
solutions
have to
today that
push-
are
That's why you have to push all this DEI shit into the university. People don't understand any of this stuff. This woman holding this sign doesn't even understand what she's saying, probably. Which is
I mean,
sad.
if you follow his logic, if you read the French Revolution and the Reign of Terror, you're gonna end up as a rival very soon. You know, I don't. It's very contextual. Like history doesn't push in any direction. Like if you want to read about union busting, sure, you might, you know, sympathize with unions. But if you read about, you know, fucking the Russian Revolution and, you know, the Red Army excess, you might also get pushed in a different direction. It's all about context, not the subject itself.
Exactly. It's about context. Exactly. What they are told about all of this stuff is decontextualized. Just as this guy's talking about. It's decontextualized. Because he explicitly is removing the context from all the things he's talking about. When you decontextualize things, well, it sure makes sense now, doesn't it? Only when it's decontextualized. Very curious.
are incompatible with
Nope, sorry. Let's go.
are incompatible
Yep.
with are
Somebody
incompatible
press
with
go,
the
yeah.
lessons of history. When you start understanding history, it will begin to shape your worldview, and it will push you towards certain politics and away from others. The Republican and Democratic parties both rely on various groups and demographics, various interest groups and lobbying organizations. The views of these groups shape what policy solutions are electorally viable. Since history will change the way you view the present, it can drive you to pursuing policy solutions based on this. In America, this is particularly relevant for policy regarding race and the history and aftereffects of slavery and segregation. The policy solutions that you are likely to pursue may be incompatible with the views of some of the electoral interest groups that the Republican Party relies on, such as certain white Southerners, Confederate nationalists, and evangelical Christians. Because of this, the Republican Party is
God, of
hesitant
course.
to adopt these
Of
policy
course,
solutions.
we're all aligned. We're all aligned. This is an insane thing. That because we disagree with extreme far leftist ideology, that means we're all on board with each other. The reason why the right fails is because we are not aligned with each other. At all.
I mean, look, like there is something leftists just really don't understand in this regard. Just because a group is in favor of a guy that over like one issue, that doesn't mean they agree with everything else he says. It's just that this specific policy of his is their main interest. Like, just like, for example, not everyone who voted for the Nazis in the 30s and such was a Nazi because they genuinely agreed with everything Hitler said and everything he was going to do. But rather, believe it or not, different groups have different interests. And this is why Hitler was basically just a fucking populist on another level. Like, for example, he was popular with both the lower, middle, and upper classes because he promised something for everyone, trying to garner their support through perhaps populist sentiment. I mean, take the farmers, for example. Schleswig-Holstein, the region far up in North Germany, it was the only region to give the Nazis an absolute majority in elections. And a lot of that support came from, surprise, surprise, the farmers. Because the farmers did not have a good time, and Hitler basically used the fact and said, hey, if you support us, we will give you some support, we will fix everything. And guess what? Why should a farmer, like, for example, prioritize the lives of Jews over, the fact that he and his family are not gonna starve to death tomorrow?
We're talking about after World War One, after World War One, Germany was in a really bad place financially. Obviously, they were
Financially,
required.
politically, militarily, well, you can add a lot of things to the list.
And so, of course, Hitler gained power. Because the Germans were looking for a solution. They were saying, we need a savior. Of course, they looked to Hitler. But it wasn't just him. It was like anybody could have saved Germany, I suppose. As long as they were offering a solution. People were just asking, like, I don't want to have to carry my Reichsmarks. Or my Reichsmark, before the Reich. My marks in a wheelbarrow to buy a freaking loaf of bread. That's how insane the inflation was in Germany.
Honestly, I consider it was rise to power more like Napoleon. Because you have the revolution first, and you have the Weimar Republic. People put their trust on the Weimar Republic. The Weimar Republic fails. And then you have like a bunch of like authoritarian, like conservative nationalist attempts. Like you have Schleicher, you have von Papen, we have these in the 1932, 1933. Yeah, exactly. You have all these people, they try to form a dictatorship, but they fail. So who's next in the list? It's Hitler. And people flocked with it. It's like Napoleon. First people tried the constitutional monarchy, then it fails. The Republic, then they tried the Directory, and then Napoleon.
In my opinion, it should have been the Kaiser. It should have been the Kaiser. Kaiser should have come back into power.
Because here's the thing. Because here's a very common misconception people have. Revolution doesn't come in the periods of the greatest repression and oppression.
Yeah.
Rather, revolutions always come in the periods of the biggest changes and crises.
This is always a problem with democracy, and that implies to all of these things. I wish Germany had gone back to the Kaiser. That's what I truly wish would have happened. Didn't happen, but people will seek.
And if they disappear from the map, in my opinion.
I mean, even literally Churchill admitted that their biggest mistake was getting the Kaiser off the throne, because he himself even said that if the Kaiser was still on, Hitler would have never come to power.
Exactly.
Because, surprise, the Kaiser is the one who, chooses chancellors. They're not elected by the people. I mean, Hitler didn't get to power by an election. In fact, by the last election,
Hitler was elected sort of 51%. I think.
No, actually, no. I believe like in the last election somewhere, like I feel like the maximum they got was like maybe somewhere 30 or 40%.
Yeah,
it was actually Hindenburg who made him chancellor. He wasn't elected as chancellor.
Well, to be fair, he did the majority in the Reichstag.
It was the majority in terms of versus the other candidates. He did win the majority vote, but yes, you're right.
It was not an absolute majority.
It was an absolute majority in the way that, because it wasn't a one-party or excuse me, two-party system that we see in the United States. So I always love that when people are like, Hitler didn't win. He did though. People did vote for Hitler. And also, people's hatred of Hitler for what he did, it's that like, which is disgusting, which is sickening, is also largely a historical. People don't understand who Hitler was as a person. Like, what was he doing? Why was he doing what he thought was right? I'm not supporting Hitler, obviously. Just saying that, like, you have to put things into a historical perspective. You can't just, like, take things from the perspective of 2024 and apply it to 1930s, right? Like, you really have to try and understand the German population's perspective at the time. Go ahead.
Okay, can I?
You would know way more than I would.
Okay, I pulled out another fucking book, and I landed on the passage I wanted to read. Quote: German voters never gave the Nazis a majority of the popular vote, as is still sometimes alleged. As we saw in the last chapter, the Nazis did indeed become the largest party in the German Reichstag in the parliamentary election of July 31st, 1932, with 37.2% of the vote. They then slipped back to 33.1% in the parliamentary election of November 6, 1932. In the parliamentary election of March 6, 1933, with Hitler as chancellor and the Nazi party in command of all the resources of the German state, the score was a more significant but still insufficient 43.9%. More than one German in two voted against Nazi candidates in that election, in the teeth of intimidation by stormtroopers. The Italian Fascist Party won 35 out of 535 seats in the one free parliamentary election in which it participated on May 15th, 1921. So yeah, not
that's
exactly.
Why I love your laugh.
Majority.
Like that's why you're. Yeah. That's what you got the citation right there. That's great. Because
honestly, I feel like I feel like Hitler, because here's the thing about fascists. They're all about mach revolution, mach, we will tear down the establishment. But then when they actually start, gaining a bit of power and become too big for other parties to ignore, they're like, okay, let's play a more legalistic way.
Yes, always. Right.
I mean, when Hitler came to power, when he tried to pursue a more legalistic way, he really caused a split in the party. Like the SA, the Sturmabteilung, the paramilitary wing, was so fucking pissed that Hitler was not going to go through with the National Socialist Revolution that in 1931 they trashed several Nazi party offices, and then a year later they actually occupied the Nazi party headquarters, and it literally took Hitler all of persuasion to basically end the revolt. And it literally happened the same thing with Italy, with Mussolini, the Squadristi. I mean, the big march on Rome, like even when Mussolini achieved power, he never had total political control. He still acted as a more or less a normal prime minister because he had to navigate the political field.
And all of this is under a ostensibly democratic system. Ostensibly democracy is what allowed all of this to happen, both in Italy and in Germany. Now,
to be fair, Mussolini did come on power with a quasi-revolution, not so, but as I literally said,
it's more like a coup.
Yeah, I mean, the whole march on Rome was basically just a giant fucking bluff that worked because the king and the parliament were too pussies to actually engage the Squadristi and come.
They should have. By the way,
the Squadristi. Okay, wait. Let me find the passage in the book.
I love that you got this, Lab. It's amazing. I love that you got this.
That's because I actually mark my shit when
it's almost
reading.
Like we know what the fuck we're talking about, generally speaking, and we're just like making shit up based on feelings. Woman shit, which I can't fucking tolerate. Not me. I mean, I do have references, just not on this particular thing. You guys are more the history.
Okay, come on. Just give me a minute. I am gonna find it. It's just
It's fine. Shall I play the video while we wait?
Okay.
And so you're pushed towards the Democratic Party instead. The left and the right both understand this. It's why the right are so freaked out by projects that seek to add additional context and perspectives to established history.
Excuse me. In August of 1619 issue. Oh, this is the 1619 project. When he says adding projects, he means giving black people the ability to do whatever the fuck they want, regardless of anything.
Also, by the way, I found it.
Good.
Okay, so
holy shit,
so I mean, it's okay because I can kind of remember where these things are. Okay, so buckle your seatbelts. This is going to be a bit long, but it's going to be worth it to basically understand the March on Rome and how we can actually prevent shit like this from happening. So, the myth that Mussolini's fascists conquered power by their sole heroic exploits was propaganda. Since Mussolini's March on Rome lies behind the widespread misinterpretation of the fascist entry into office as a quote-unquote seizure, we need to scrutinize that event stripped of its mythology. Where is it? Okay, here. Okay, so when the annual Fascist Congress convened on October 24th in Naples, its first foray in the South, Mussolini was ready to see how far the wave would take him. He ordered the black shirts to seize public buildings, commandeer trains, and converge on 3 points surrounding Rome. The quote-unquote march was led by 4 militants who represented the multiple strands of fascism. Italo Barbo, blah blah blah. Mussolini himself waited prudently in his Milan newspaper offices not far from a possible Swiss refuge in case things went wrong. On October 27th, the Squadristi seized post offices and train stations in several northern Italian cities without opposition. And then I also marked this part. The Italian government was ill-equipped to meet this challenge. Indeed, an effective government had hardly existed since February 1922. We noted in the last chapter how post-war dreams of profound change brought a large left-wing majority into the Italian parliament in the first post-war election. on November 16th, 1919. And then I marked this, but this left majority, fatally divided into two irreconcilable parts, could not govern.
Oh, every
And
freaking time. The left always splits. They can't agree with each other. They all hate each other. Curious.
And then it's okay. Nevertheless, the prime minister began vigorous countermeasures with the king's approval. Facta had already reinforced the Rome garrisons with 5 battalions of disciplined Alpine troops. Now he ordered police and railroad officials to stop the fascist trains at 5 checkpoints and began preparations to impose martial law. About 9,000 blackshirts who evaded the checkpoints or continued on foot formed a motley crowd at the gates of Rome on the morning of October 28th, poorly armed, wearing makeshift uniforms, short of food and water, and milling about in a discouraging rain. In ancient and modern history, there was hardly any attempt on Rome that failed so miserably at its beginning.
Wowee. Wow.
At the last...
This guy's fucked. Go ahead, continue. Sorry.
At the last moment, King Victor Emmanuel III balked. He decided not to sign Prime Minister Facta's martial law decree. He refused to call Mussolini's bluff and used the readily available force to exclude the blackshirts from Rome. He rejected Salandra's last-minute efforts to form a new conservative government without Mussolini, who had by now refused Salandra's offer of a coalition. Instead, he offered the Prime Minister directly to the young upstart fascist leader. Why did the king thus rescue Mussolini from a rashly overplayed hand? Mussolini had cleverly confronted the sovereign with a hard choice. Either the government must use force to disperse thousands of blackshirts converging on Rome, with considerable risk of bloodshed and bitter internal dissension, or the king must accept Mussolini as head of government.
Which, yep.
The most likely explanation for the king's choice of the second option is a private warning, of which no archival trace remains, by the army commander-in-chief, Marshal Armando Diaz, or possibly another senior military officer, that the troops might fraternize with the blackshirts if ordered to block them. It was not fascism's force that decided the issue, but the conservatives' unwillingness to risk their force against his. The quote-unquote March on Rome was a gigantic bluff that worked, and still works in the general public's perception of Mussolini's quote-unquote seizure of power. It was only on October 31st, with Mussolini already in office, that about 10,000 blackshirts, finally fed and given dry clothes, were accorded a compensatory parade through the streets of Rome where they provoked bloody incidents. Mussolini later worked hard to establish the myth that his blackshirts had taken power by their own will and force. The first anniversary of what was supposed to happen, what was supposed to have been in their arrival in Rome, was commemorated in 1923 with 4 days of pageantry. On that date, October 28th, became a national holiday. That's the truth about the March on Rome.
There it is.
Amazing.
There it is. There's the March on Rome. It was not that the monarch just was like, hey, cool, fascists, take power. Because that's how it's portrayed. Is that monarchism gives way to fascism? No. The actual answer, as Aristotle has yet to be proven wrong on this, is that what leads to fascism every time. What's the governmental system, lads, that leads to fascism? What is the governmental system that leads to fascism? That opens the door towards fascism?
Mass politics and democracy.
Or communism, yes. It's democracy. Every time. Mass, politic, and democracy. 100%.
I mean, that's literally the fucking fact. I mean, I've actually researched... By the way, this book that I'm quoting from, where I quoted this from, it's called The Anatomy of Fascism. It goes into fascism as an ideology, and this book makes a very compelling case and literally proves that fascism, unlike other normal ideologies, it never had a quote-unquote philosophy on which to stand its legs on.
Exactly.
The philosophy was barking and saying, oh, these people bad, we good, we will promise you this, we will promise them that, with, glorious leader will bring us all to safety, to make up for the fact that they did not really have an inherent philosophy to their thing. I mean, Mussolini, and unironically, himself literally said this. I mean, okay, let me find this. Okay, I found this, so...
Oh, good. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, actually, no. First, I'm gonna read from an excerpt from a 1930 book called Ideological Aspects of Fascism, where, the author actually goes into the details of fascism. And this is very interesting in what fascists view and uphold as the quote-unquote truth. Now, okay, listen to this, quote. We fascists don't think ideology is a problem that is resolved in such a way that truth is seated on a throne. But in that case, does fighting for an ideology mean fighting for mere appearances? No doubt, unless one considers it according to its unique and efficacious psychological historical value. The truth of an ideology lies in its capacity to set in motion our capacity for ideals and action. Its truth is absolute insofar as, living within us, it suffices to exhaust those capacities. So basically, straight from the horse's mouth, one of the most critical aspects is confirmed. In its perspective of fascists, the quote-unquote truth is not determined by the righteousness or correctness of a philosophy, nor by the historical success.
Oh, hello? Hang on.
And the setup squat out.
Uh-oh.
Utilize populism to gain power.
There we go.
They don't care about doctrine. They're gonna go and promise anything to any fucking group out there is, and then they're just gonna completely discard them once a better group comes up. You remember how I mentioned how the farmers voted a lot for Hitler and the Nazis? Well, guess what Hitler did? He completely ditched them later on in favor of big businesses and industrialization.
Exactly.
And again, fascists make up for their lack of philosophy and things and foundations for literally barking like dogs against people.
Yes.
These people are bad, give us power, and that is how they come to power.
Yes.
Because guess what? People are fucking stupid.
Exactly.
And they will fall for this shit.
Yeah, exactly.
There's another really good passage from this book. Fuck, I gotta find it. It's really good. It like really talks about.
To reiterate what you're saying there, is that that's absolutely true. People they want someone to rule over them. Democracy is a farce. In terms of thinking that you are able to rule over yourself, but ultimately people want someone to rule over them. They want dad. They want a father figure, whether it be the government or whatever. They always want a father figure. It is universal. It is evolutionary. It is inescapable. That's why the idea of democracy is so incredibly farcical. Of like, we can just escape. We can escape from human nature. No. You need a czar. You need a kaiser. You need a king.
Found another passage. Yeah, I think you're gonna absolutely agree with this, Aidan. Quote: comparison suggests that fascist success in reaching power varies less with the brilliance of fascist intellectuals and the qualities of fascist chiefs than with the depth of crisis and the desperation of potential allies. While intellectual history was indispensable for explaining the old system's loss of legitimacy in cases where fascism first managed to take root, it is of limited help to us at this stage. It offers little to explain what kinds of political space open up in pre-fascist crisis of deadlock, advancing left and conservative anxiety, and why fascism filled the opening instead of something else. Under what conditions has the political space available for fascist growth yawned wide enough for access to power? In the previous chapter, I discussed some of the more general settings. In this chapter, I focus on more specific conditions of breakdown of democratic legitimacy and the deadlock of parliamentary regimes. But why, under these circumstances, did the conservatives not simply crush the left by armed force and install an autocracy, leaving no space for fascism's promise to attract parts of the left as well as intimidate it?
Good question.
Here it is.
America asks, would you consider Trump a fascist under these definitions that we're looking at? No.
No.
Trump is nowhere near a fascist. Nowhere near.
Because populism in of itself isn't fascism, I would say. It isn't, but fascism is always populistic because, again, fascism doesn't have exactly ideological or a philosophy to stand on. It's
Yes.
rhetoric. Like fascist, like okay, Trump does use the rhetoric, but he actually has things, his ideas something to stand on. And by the way, he doesn't advocate to like completely overthrow the system and disband democracy.
Well, they'd say that. They say that that's what Jan 6 was. They would say that Jan 6 was a fascist coup. That's the argument against Trump. Is that
Okay,
him
and
saying,
by the way,
go to the Capitol and peacefully protest is in fact a call to overthrow. Like what the hell do you think people were going to do? Insane.
Let's be fair, gentlemen. That guy doesn't even have the brains to read
No.
the theory of fascism, all right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's ridiculous. That's not.
Okay,
that
okay,
conclusion is
Nathan.
absurdist. Go ahead.
Okay,
Go ahead.
let me just read this one more paragraph, and I trust you. You're gonna love this.
Okay.
Quote, we have already noted the bloodiest suppression of a fascist junior partner by an authoritarian dictator, the liquidation of the Legion of the Archangel Michael by the Romanian dictator Marshal Antonescu in January 1941. As we will see in Chapter 6, the Iberian dictators Franco and Salazar reduced fascist parties to powerlessness though less bloodily. The Brazilian dictator Vargas tolerated a fascist movement and then crushed it. And here comes the big part. In general, well-entrenched conservative regimes of all sorts have provided unfavorable terrain for fascism to reach power. Either they have repressed what they regarded as fomenters of disorder, or they have preempted fascism issues and following for themselves. If conservatives could rule alone, they did.
Absolutely incorrect. Conservatism, I don't believe. Conservatism is a farce, is what I'd say. The idea of conservatism is a
He's
farce.
talking about conservatism in the European way.
In the European way, but even so, I think it's a farce in all facets, because whenever you start to engage with the democratic system, with democracy as an idea, it will move towards fascism or communism, one or the other, inherent. This is unquestionable. It will move towards. It always moves towards power. It always moves towards government control. This is why people shouldn't vote, because look what they vote for. Whatever the system is, they will vote for this shit every single time. That's why, in my opinion, why democracy is the worst system of government. I don't care if it's a republican or a republic. I don't really give a shit. Mm-hmm. Democracy always moves in this direction. Aristotle called it 2,000 years ago, and he's yet to be proven wrong. So, I don't know why we're I don't even know why it's a debate.
Okay, and I think I'm gonna set down this book but
sure.
Again, Aiden, I think I raised your interest. I highly recommend you this book. It's not even that expensive.
I'm
I highly
fascinated by
recommend
it. No, I will. Send me the link, and I'll read it literally tomorrow.
Okay. I don't think there is an archive of it, so you're gonna have to buy it through Jeff Bezos.
I don't mind buying it from just Jeff Bezos. I have an Amazon Prime account, so.
Okay. I'm just gonna send it to you, and we can continue with the video. I think I stalled long enough.
Oh no, I'm fascinated by what you just read. How long ago did you say this book was written?
It was written in 2005.
Oh wow, okay, so it's relatively recent. Because a lot of the really brilliant knowledge that I've found comes from scholars from like the early 1900s, people who lived through this period that we're talking about. They lived it. They weren't just looking at it in retrospect. However, people like Eric von Kuhnert-Leiden, and yes, they offer a unique perspective, but obviously we can't have it, because that's some good stuff. That's some good stuff from 2005. Damn.
And I would perhaps make the argument that fascism isn't an ideology.
No.
Well, more or how we perceive conventional ideologies. Mm-hmm. Because, again, fascism arose as a unique phenomenon specifically designed for the era of mass politics. Mm-hmm. Its main strategy was to captivate the masses through carefully designed rituals, grandiose ceremonies, and emotionally charged rhetoric. Divergent from its ideological counterparts, Fascism does not rest upon a detailed philosophical framework. Instead, it is guide grounded in populist sentiments. It lacks the intellectual foundations provided by system builders such as Marx in the case of communism, or the critical insights of notable thinkers like Mill, Burke, or Tocqueville.
Yep.
Again, power over doctrine.
Yes.
This is why every time we try to define fascism, we hit a brick wall because we're trying to define it as a conventional ideology when it isn't.
Exactly. The left feeds on this exact problem, right? That what is fascism? It's very difficult to define because of these exact things that you've just described, that this author also described. Is that it's so hard to narrow down what is fascism, because it is not a defined ideology in the way that communism is, which also is difficult to define in some ways. But it's not a defined ideology. It's a loose bunch of connected ideologies that kind of work towards supporting fascistic belief systems. Now, we need to avoid fascism, I would say, because obviously it's kind of a hideous form of government, a form of human organization. However, is it more or less horrible than communism? I don't know. I think it's probably equally so.
I mean, yeah, but again, at least communism has at least some ground to stand on in terms of philosophy.
Yeah, at least they have a philosophical background. The fascistic background is all over the place. What's the book you're quoting from, by the way? Because the chat's asking.
It's called. Okay, I'm gonna write it in chat right now, so maybe you can pin it or something.
Cool, I will.
But yeah, honestly, when I was, this is literally like my. Okay, I'm just gonna spoil. This is literally the topic of my next video, where I will argue that fascism is literally just a quote-unquote ideology of contradictions.
It is. It is. But it is. I mean, I think there's plenty of contradictions in communism, but at least communism has a theoretical background, right? Like it has. You're right about that. It has its theoretical basis. It goes all the way back to Hegel. It goes all the way back. Let me see this. Yes, it is The Anatomy of Fascism by Robert Paxton. I'll see if I can pin this. Recently, I've had trouble pinning things.
Yeah. Again, I would argue this book is like literally the best book at deconstructing fascism from an objective and not ideological aspect. Because again, it's completely objective. Because it actually looks into what fascists said and did rather than an ideological explanation of what it maybe is.
Yeah, exactly.
So that is why I would argue. In the end, fascism is really just like a giant fucking farce that emerged from mass politics, democracy, by the way, and ironically, this is what we're talking about here is basically what the left perceives as fascism. Only difference is that they, how do I say this? Like they don't realize that they are right in this way.
No,
if that makes sense.
They don't realize it because it would take too much. That was not the correct thing to pin.
Because again, fascism is literally just a bunch of fucking lies. Because at least with communism, you at least know what you're getting. Like, okay, they are also populist, but at least they stick to what they say. They're fighting for the working class or whatever, and they actually stick to the working class, even if they, sometimes shoot them in the face.
Yeah.
But at least with fascism, you literally don't know who is gonna get the bullet or not, which group is gonna get ditched next, which group is suddenly gonna get abandoned, which group is gonna be taken next.
Exactly.
Like again, fascism is all about power. Like which group is gonna help them attain most power. It was only fascists only worry about doctrine later on when they actually assume power. It took Mussolini on like 10 years after he took power to actually start coming up with a concept for and philosophical framework for Italian fascism. But in the end, that's the difference between fascism and all other ideologies. All other conventional ideologies already have a philosophical work to stand on. Fascism thinks about that only after it comes to power.
Exactly. I think communism does it as well, but at least communism has an intellectual, I would say, backing behind it. Doesn't mean it's correct, but they at least have like, well, I can cite Marx and Engels, I can cite this. Yeah, fascism has no ideological background really. It is like you said, you make it up as you go along. It's why fascism is such a stupid ideology. In terms of,
I mean, honestly, when I read all of this in Paxton's book, like it came as an absolute bombshell. Like everything started making sense when once you realize what he is also trying to. Like he doesn't,
Yeah.
as himself say here, that he doesn't get the same conclusion as me. He is a lot more nuanced on the matter, but this is the conclusion I got from him. And honestly, it makes a lot of sense. Like this entire time, me as well, we've been just trying to pinpoint fascism as some conventional ideology, something all universal variations agree upon, when I would argue it's impossible to define in a broad sense.
I think I agree. I don't know if we largely speaking can even define fascism, because it in and of itself is so malleable in terms of what is fascistic, that we could call it, generally speaking, just very, very broad, a collaboration between the government and the people, essentially. That's the broad, or the government and business. Let's put it that way. Sorry, government and business. But that also defines communism. So fascism is not defined well by that definition, and that's because I think, as you said, which is correct, I believe, that fascism, and why it's so difficult to nail down, is because it constantly changes. What is fascistic? I would call it a totalitarian form of government, but what is fascism is very hard to nail down. I agree with you 100% on that.
And this is why it is so commonly used as a label, because honestly, a lot of the things maybe I have discussed, they could apply to Trump, since in 2016, it saw a massive wave of populism sweep across the country. But again, while fascism is always populistic, populism isn't inherently fascist. I mean, communism is populistic, but at least with its populism, it tries to pander to at least one group.
Yeah, it's very funny that the left is like, populism is bad, except for our populism. Then it's good. Then populism is good. Shall we get back into the video and then try to get into the other video?
Okay, yeah.
No, I have sincerely enjoyed this, and I will read that book. If not tomorrow, then in the next week I will read that book, because and I suggest everyone else does as well. Let's all read it together.
Book club,
yeah.
Historical narratives, to expand them and to make them more complex and therefore more accurate. It's why banning books from libraries and schools is in vogue in the United States nowadays.
Excuse me.
It's the history being taught which is always going to evolve.
What books are you banning?
Probably definitely not books that literally show how to have sex for little children.
That one's fine. Those are fine to have in elementary schools and middle schools. Those kind of books are fine. Sure. Okay. Great.
Evolve and become more accurate is incompatible with the identity of many right-wing parties, an identity that they have fostered over.
By the way, they keep talking about this book bans. The books aren't banned. They're not, like, you can still buy these books online. You just can't get them. You can't find these books in elementary school libraries.
I mean, they really think just because they can't find a book in a library, it means that the school banned it.
Yeah, which is an absurdist idea. That is not fascistic, by the way. Just because a book has been, and I'll put it this way: I read The Bluest Eye when I was in high school, by Toni Morrison. There are very explicit rape scenes described in that book. It's considered one of the best books ever written by an American author. I read it when I was probably 14. Should I have read that book when I was 14? Describing a child being raped? Probably not. I probably shouldn't have read that book when I was 14. I don't think... I'm just saying, I don't think that book is appropriate for children. And I think The Bluest Eye is a good book. But I don't think it was appropriate for a 14-year-old to read about a child being raped. Okay? Just saying. I don't think that was an appropriate book for me to read as a child. As ostensibly a child. That's insane. It's a good book, but I don't think it's appropriate for children.
Over a long time, which is attached to figures and moments in history that the historians, through their increasingly accurate findings, are discovering to be objectionable. And so, instead of changing to accommodate these new lessons learned from history, we're back to banning books. Here's how John Broik, PhD in history and professor of British Empire history at Case Western Reserve University, put it in an op-ed for the American Historical Association. We have been made partisan. He argues that the American right is partisan against history, and due to this...
No. American right is partisan against history in that we are partisan towards the truth. Now, there are some insane rhinos that I don't agree with. There's tons of them, by the way. But no, the left is partisan against history, in my opinion, because you want to deny history whenever it disagrees with you, to the degree that you will just overtly deny history when it disagrees with you. I'm sorry, but that's the evidence that I've seen. I'd like to see some evidence to the contrary, but I've not.
The historian, who cares about a history that is evidence-based and formulated through the methods that so far have made up the historian's craft, are made to be enemies of those.
Again, also, if you're going to make a claim
Quoting
like this,
Professor Lewis
provide
L. Orland,
evidence.
there is a pervasive opinion which has
Oh,
attained
here we get into Evola. Here we go.
the status of a myth, that to be scholarly means to have no opinions at all except as they apply to the inner technicalities of...
Yes, idiot! Yes! That's what academia means! Oh my god, now I'm mad. Yes, ding dong! Being an academic means to have no opinions. That's what being an academic is. That's what it means. That's the point. We're not supposed to have opinions. Dipshit. Holy fuck. What do you mean? We're not supposed to have opinions. And he can't even cite Evola. He cites someone citing Evola. You piece of shit. You fucking moron. Holy fuck. Cite Evola. Don't cite someone citing Evola, you piece of fucking garbage. Oh my god. Okay, now I'm mad.
of the subject matter at issue. If we remember that the aim of open, impartial investigation is informed judgment, then we are entitled to believe that the proper end of intellectual activity is the ability to act on the best information available to us. That first great monument of political theory, the Republic, is really a treatise on education. For the Greeks, education and politics were inseparable. For many centuries in our tradition, this link was kept. But somewhere along the road, we succumbed to the astral qualities of the search for truth, and relegated the task of realizing it in action to the little tutored opportunists of the marketplace and the city hall. We need to reassert that the proper function of education is as a guide to action. This is, in my mind, one of the primary reasons why many historians and other academics vote left-wing, because the information they learn in their field is shaping their political identity, and serves as a call to action based on the data and knowledge that they've learned. And this information, if shared, will lead to the same development in others. And that's why so much history that's being written nowadays has come under attack. Because the
so much history's coming under attack? I mean, your perversion, your perspective on history. No, thank you. History is what it is. It is just truth. It is a thing that exists. It doesn't matter about your perspective. It is a thing that exists. Prima facie, it exists. I don't care about your perspective. I'm so tired of this crap.
Fundamental lessons by historians are incompatible with the identity of certain specific right-wingers who want to continue to worship statues of slave owners, or impede the honest assessment and examination of uncomfortable truths about how our society has come to be and how it continues to exist in its present form.
Okay, cool. You didn't evidence any of that. Very cool.
That,
all right.
Again, bullshit, just like us. But somehow we dragged this on for like 2 hours because we somehow diverged into completely dissecting fascism.
Yeah, that's fine. Is this the same thing? Oh, it's the same video. Hang on.
This video seeks to serve...
Same video. Hang on, I'm gonna find the other one. The other one you posted was...
Rebuffs to come in on this one.
Oh yes, does history and academia have a leftist bias? It's from the same guy, Frida. Or did I?
Yeah,
this is a different video.
Yeah, this is history is interpretation. Okay. That he argues that there is no objectivity in history.
I'm gonna lose my mind. Are you serious? That's his argument.
You're gonna love this. You're gonna love this.
No, I'm not gonna love it. I'm gonna have a fucking aneurysm.
Okay, just listen to this.
Seriously, his argument is that there is no such thing as objectivity.
Because there is no objectivity because every human is biased. That's his argument.
I'm gonna have a conniption. No way. It's only 11 minutes. I'm gonna die. I can't make it through 11 minutes if someone is telling me that there's no such thing as objectivity in history. I'm gonna have a conniption. I'm gonna die. Please pray for me, chat, as I prepare to embark on this leftist meme. Oh my god, I'm about to die. I'm literally about to die. There's no way I can make it through this without dying. But let's see. Let's see if I can survive.
seeks to serve as a brief introduction to one of the most foundational aspects of understanding how history is written. The thesis of this video is based on an established consensus among historians on the nature of history, and instead of purely relying
Established
on my
consensus?
words, you'll
Really?
be hearing from respected
Let me
professors
see
whose work
who
I
we
base
got
my
here.
understanding
Who
of
do we
history
got
on.
here? No one I've ever heard of, which should be very telling. Because here's the thing, chat. I'm sure most of you know, and the three of you here probably know as well. If I don't know your name as an academic, that's not a good sign. Because I
don't
know
matter.
I don't know. I've never seen any of these names before, and I've
Also,
read
but
everybody. I've read everyone. I do know Adam Toozy, but that's it.
Okay, I was about to make a joke about one of these surnames, but then I chose, no.
I do know Adam Toozy, but only barely. I don't know any of these scholars. That should not be a good sign. That should not be a good sign. Because people ask me sometimes, like, Aiden, how do you do all this shit? I'm like, look, when you're in doc school, you get told, like, you're like, here's your professors will be like, here's 20 papers to read over the weekend or until next week when we come back and we're supposed to talk about it. I didn't realize until I was older that I was the only fucking grad student who actually did that. God damn. I was the only person who actually fucking read all that shit. Yes, I read everything. I always read it. Of course I did. Not read it, but, you know. I always read everything that they gave me. God damn it. Everyone else just, like, Googled it or something.
In one of my recent videos, I explained the interpretive nature of history and the aspiration towards an
did ya?
ideal historical truth. By ideal, I mean,
Ideal historical
in
truth?
practice, it's one we'll never quite fully
There is
reach
just
due
truth.
to some of the
I'm sorry. I
You're already losing your mind.
hang on. I need to just... I need to do this. I need to. I don't care if I get... The whole stream gets copyrighted for this. I need to take a brief moment to post this. This is important. This is important. Yep, here it is.
What are you posting?
Okay. I'm posting this. We're gonna watch it together. Put it in the watch together. I will go back to this. We were at what?
Okay.
We're like 20 seconds in.
Yeah, 30 seconds in.
This is very important. We have to wait till Wesley comes in. Here we go.
Formed at the academy for over 100 years. You know why?
This is Wesley getting fucking
It was
talked
banned by
down
the academy following a training accident.
by
An accident in
Captain
which
McCarthy.
all... I think that Nicholas Locarno wanted
Let me
to
find the part where I'm
learn
looking at.
Colvoid Starburst.
Sorry, I'm trying to find the right part.
Locarno would graduate as a living legend.
By the way,
Work.
Wesley got like 10 other
And
people
Joshua
in
Allen
his
paid the price.
squadron killed over
Am I
this.
correct?
That's what's happening here. And Picard is talking him down because he fucked up.
Cadet, I asked you a
royally.
question. Am I correct?
Yeah. Answer the question, Cadet.
I choose not to answer, sir.
You choose not to answer.
This has to be the right clip, right? Yeah. Here it is. Here we
You've
go. Here
already
we go.
given an answer to the inquiry.
Yeah.
That answer was a lie.
I said the accident occurred after the loop. It did.
What you neglected to mention was that following the loop,
Hang on,
Your
I'm
team
gonna
attempted
totally
a
fuck
maneuver.
YouTube.
It was the direct
I'm
cause
talking
of
over
the
top of this
crash.
clip so that you don't get weird at me
told the
about it.
truth up to a point.
Tell the truth. You always have to
But a
tell the
lie
truth.
of omission is still a lie.
A lie of omission is still a lie. It absolutely is. It's very important in academia. A lie of omission is a lie. Here it
Do you
is.
remember the first day you came aboard
I
this
think
ship?
this is it. When does he fucking go into his speech? God damn it.
Mother brought you on the bridge.
Yes, sir.
You even sat in my chair. I was annoyed.
Yeah, I was annoyed
Presumptuous
too.
child
Everyone was.
playing on my ship. But I never forgot how you already knew every control, every display. You behaved as though you belonged on the bridge.
I didn't.
And then later, when I decided to make you an
Miss it.
acting ensign,
Mm-hmm.
I was convinced you could be an outstanding
Made a
officer.
fucking
and I
acting
never
ensign.
questioned that conviction
If he doesn't say it, I'll say it.
until now.
If I can't find it.
The first duty of
Of
every
every
Starfleet
officer is to the truth.
whether it's
Be it
scientific
truth,
or
historical truth,
or
personal truth.
It is the
The
guiding principle on which
Starfleet is based.
Now, if you can't find it within
Within
yourself
to stand up and tell the truth
about what happened, you don't deserve to
deserve
wear that
to
uniform.
wear that
I'm gonna
uniform.
make this
There it is.
simple for you, Mr.
That's
Crusher.
the thing. That's the thing.
Took place or I will.
That's it. That's what I wanted to get to. You don't deserve to wear that uniform. I'm a little bit excited.
You're a huge Star Trek fan, huh?
Only slightly. Scientific truth, historical truth, or personal truth, and if you can't find it within yourself to stand up and tell the truth, then you don't deserve to wear that uniform. And it applies to academe as well. If you can't find it within yourself to stand up and tell the truth, you don't deserve to wear that uniform. Here's this loser.
Okay.
Sorry.
Downgrade.
Yeah, downgrade.
An ideal historical truth. By ideal, I mean that it's the goal. But in practice, it's one we'll never quite fully reach, due to some of the practical
Yeah, shut up,
difficulties
Wesley.
of writing history. No matter how perfect our reconstruction of the past, it will never fully be the past that has come and gone. As more historians write on a subject, a consensus begins to form, that is, the majority opinion. However, this majority opinion can also change. The most obvious and fundamental way this happens is through the discovery of sources that shed new light on the event or period. This then often demands a reinterpretation of the other sources, taking the new source into account, which then
It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen
the
though.
consensus might evolve to claim that
Can you fucking stop being a fucking pedant and understand how this actually works in academe? That's the ideal, not how it works. Ding dong. I wish it did. It's not how it works. We never update our sources, unfortunately. But we don't. We don't. This is some fucking layman talking about this shit. This is what are you doing? You layman? I hate to say that, but unfortunately you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. We don't update our shit. Ever. Ever. Oh my god.
those previous get it quite right, but we can't call them liars. They were operating in good faith, in accordance with established norms and...
Nope, not necessarily. They often weren't operating in good faith, and you don't know if they were or not. They might have been operating in bad faith, because we live in a publish or perish sphere, okay? It's publish or perish. You have no idea if they were operating in good faith or not, and what I would say about all academics at this point is have the perspective that they are probably not operating in good faith. They are operating under a publish or perish paradigm, okay? Sorry, I'm mad. Sorry, guys. Are you still there?
Yeah.
I'm just in a bad mood. And I hate
That's why it's more fun.
I hate this. This dude doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
the field. Could we say that they were wrong, though? Well, to do that, we'd need to know what's right, surely. And we can't rightly say that another news source isn't going to pop up, proving the current interpretation wrong. I mean, it's happened once, so it's not crazy to say it could happen again. As you can see, we're struggling towards that ideal and perfect reconstruction of the past at all times, but since we're never going to get it quite perfect, our only metrics are the consensus, which can have faults, as I mentioned.
He's a Norwegian academic.
Of proper source
Well, he sucks then. He sucks at explaining his academic bona fides.
He's not academic, he's very university student.
Sometimes you make mistakey wakies. No. Not acceptable. Not acceptable under any circumstance. Never acceptable. You make a mistake, you have to make a retraction. The end. I'm very autistic about this. You make a mistake, time to make a retraction. Bye-bye.
Does the historian qualitatively assess their sources well? Do they rely too much on specific sources? Have they discarded certain sources, and if so, was the basis for doing so legitimate? There's a whole host more. Source usage could be a whole video on its own. Now, the sudden appearance of one new source is...
Source usage could be its own video on its own? I got 2 hours in the bank for you, homie. Like, on how to use sources correctly. But go ahead.
At all. Despite the sources being there, or certain angles haven't been covered. This will always be the case. There is an impossible amount of information out there to parse, and in this situation, just like the one with the sudden appearance of a new source, the consensus is likely to change to encompass the new topic. Adam Tooze is an economic...
No, that's not how that works. It's not how it works. Data don't change. Data just exist. They exist. They are what they are. Context doesn't fucking matter. Data are. What the fuck are you talking about, you weirdo? Sorry.
Of the European Institute,
I'm so
has
mad.
written an excellent book on the economics of Nazi dictatorship. In the preface to his book, he talks,
Can I make the video louder?
in the beginnings of their works,
Yes,
about
but I have to
what's
make
been
everyone else
written
louder.
before on the topic, and the nature of the topic itself. He says the following. The cultural and ideological turn in the study of fascism has permanently remodeled our understanding of Hitler and his regime. It is hard to imagine now, but there was a time
We just went through how this
routinely dismissed Mein Kampf as a historical source and thought it reasonable to treat Hitler as just another opportunistic imperialist. Those days are gone. Thanks to the work of 2 generations of historians, we now have a far better understanding of the way in which Nazi ideology conditioned the thought and action of the Nazi leadership and wider society.
Also, let me say something.
The
Now,
contribution
I'm just gonna say something about. I don't like. This is an MLA style citation or ASPA. It can depend. I don't like this style of citation. That one, I hate that. Show me the fucking source.
You know,
in
the
citation.
I mean, that's literally what I always do. Like, when I make a video, like, when I come across this, I directly source what the author is sourcing. Now, some people...
It's fine. This is a citation style. This is a normative citation style. It's MLA, it's ASPA, it's a bunch of other citation styles. But I hate the citation style. I want to see where you got this quote from. Show me the source.
I mean, to be fair, even that other guy could have gotten it from somewhere else.
True, he could have. Very much could have. And I don't like this style of citation. It pisses me off. I don't want to see a one. I want to see where you got the citation from, which is what I do in my videos. Because if you don't trust me, you can trust wherever I got the fucking thing from, or you can go read it at least easily. You know, I hate the citation style. This is MLA. APA is the only style of citation that I will use. It is the best style of citation. APA, it's American Psychological Association. Use APA. Use APA. It should be standard. We have to cite the source, not one. No, I hate this.
book and the contribution it will serve towards a more whole and complete understanding of Nazi Germany in World War II. But whilst we have been busy unraveling the central ideological and political thread of Hitler's regime, other crucial strands of the story have been relatively neglected. Most notably, historians have tended to downplay or even ignore the importance of the economy. In part, this has been a deliberate act of rejection. In part, the marginalization of economic history is self-inflicted.
What? The marginalization
in
of
which much of
history
economic
is self-inflicted?
is inaccessible to readers trained in the humanities.
So he's saying that...
The gap.
Wait,
so
hang on, pause. The marginalization of economic history is self-inflicted? What does that mean?
Basically, historians are not necessarily great economists, and you know, when you read a big book about history, you don't really look about inflation rates, money exchanges, all the things that play a very important role in history, like the French Revolution. Usually historians just boil down to very
what do I
basic understandings.
What do I think this means? Is that all people who starved under communism is self-inflicted. That's what I got from it. Am I incorrect in that perspective?
I mean, honestly, right before Wolfgang spoke up, I was literally about to say, Wolfgang, dumb it down.
Yeah, Wolfgang did dumb it down, though, for us, which I think was correct. But I think I'd try to dumb it down a little bit further.
Alright, I'll put it in layman terms. Historians are bad economists, and they don't understand economy and history.
Okay.
That is something that if you read about, for example, the French Revolution, you can notice very well, is that the revolution happened. Why? The bread prices were high. Why? Bad floods. Historians are very bad at analyzing historical economy.
Why the economics would influence the historical factors, right? And
exactly.
It is true, by the way, that historians and economists are totally different fields. I wish we weren't.
I wouldn't say they are totally different.
Yeah, I wish we weren't. But this is the thing that happens in academia, which is that we don't talk to each other. So, for example, in my tiny field, I'm in a very small field, communication. Now, communication is a collaboration of psychology, sociology, and that's basically it. Sociology and psychology. That's my field. Now, I'm a pure quantitative scholar, meaning that I only look at maths. I don't really give a shit about anything that's not mathematical. I do look at it, but I kind of discount it. I think this is the same problem, though. That why I like calm communication is that we take from multiple different fields. We'll take from history, we'll take from anthropology, we'll take from everything. And other fields do not do that. It's the one benefit of being a calm scholar, is that we'll just take everything. We'll be like, yeah, oh whatever. But this is that might be an interesting point. Maybe they don't talk to each other enough. And it is an issue.
I can give you an example of that. Like, for my personal experience, the way that history is done in, university, it's very much book nerd.
Yeah.
That type of people that go to a library. Like, the idea of going to a reenactment, it's very foreign, that reenactment, that's just people playing, Like, the idea that you read a book and say, someone cannot possibly run with a medieval armor, they are very slow. No, they read it and say, yeah, that's it. And if you have someone, wearing a medieval armor, running, it's like, oh, no, that's impossible, there is this disconnect. History has become a field very, very nerdy, like very indoor, very indoor.
Nerdy. Econ, history, everything, all this just becomes so nerdy that, that I think that it's difficult to find someone. You have to be trained in it, which is not something that I think should be the case. This should be available to lay people. This shouldn't be hidden. The importance of the economy and its connection to history. I would say that they are related fields, inherent. Because you can't eviscerate economy from history. Sorry, I'm being pedantic about all this.
No, you have a point, say history is not just, when this happened, it happened on the Mr. Month of that random year. No, history is analyzing a variety of factors, You have economic aspects, you have psychological aspects, why did said person did that? Why did a person was like that?
It makes this point in the rest of this paragraph. The statistical terminology in which much economic history is couched is inaccessible to readers trained in the humanities. And that's true. A lot of us, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. Maybe probably, it's inaccessible to probably many trained in the humanities. But, as I've said, there's 3 types of people who study the humanities. There's quantitative scholars, of which I am one. I'm a quantitative scholar, so my shit's all maths. It's all maths all the way down the road. Then there's qualitative scholars, and they are kind of like, we use maths, but only when it's appropriate. We're doing feeling testing on people. And then there's critical cultural. They don't give a shit about maths at all. They don't give a shit about any mathematics. It's just all feelings. It's autoethnography bullshit that I don't give a fuck about. I'm sorry if he. So, he might have a point here. Actually, he might have a point here. Sorry, I just got pissed about this. Let's go.
Terminology in which much of economic history is couched is inaccessible to readers trained in the humanities, and too little effort has been made by either side to bridge the gap.
I agree with that, actually.
So as you can see, Adam Tooze is looking to change our perspective of Nazi Germany by adding to the history the perspectives that he believes are lacking, the perspectives that he is equipped with. Here's John Lewis Gaddis, a Cold War historian, Pulitzer Prize winner, and a professor at Yale. Because no 2 historians will ever perform this task in just the same way, there can be no single standard for objectivity.
Oh, no, get fucked. Well, this guy's wrong. He's just wrong, then. There's no objectivity in history. Then he's wrong. Sorry. You're wrong. Gaddis, you're incorrect. There is objectivity in history. Jesus Christ.
Or for that matter, in all of history. There'll never be a consensus on the reputation of Peter the Great, and any more than there'll be...
Yes, there will. Because of evidence. You base your conjecture on... Now, yes, you are making some conjectures. Sure. But you are basing your conjectures on evidence, not on feelings. It's history. It's fact. Crazy. Why would you say something like that? What a dingus.
On the length of the British coastline. There certainly is a consensus, though, on the existence of both, and indeed on the fact
Wait a minute, any more than they'll
that
be
one sailed
on the
along the
length
ladder.
of the British coastline? Something you can
idea of
measure?
fitting representation
Something you can
to
literally
reality.
measure. Hang on one
The
second.
judgments
Pause.
any historian applies to the past can't and applies to the past can't.
Sorry, we're like there's 3 people involved, so it's weird. There is no more consensus on the reputation of Peter the Great any more than there will be on the length of the British coastline. You can measure the latter. What are you talking about? You can empirically measure the latter. What I call myself is an empirical post-positivist. That's the word I said. I call myself a quantitative empirical post-positivist. That's how I describe my scholarship. That's how I describe what I do. Quantitative, numbers, empirical, measurement, post-positivist, meaning it's falsifiable. These things are really easy to understand. I just explained the 3 things that I describe myself as. And any scholar who's worth their fucking weight should also be a quantitative empirical post-positivist. That's it. The length of the British Isles is quantitative, empirical, and post-positivistic. What the fuck? What a stupid thing to say, you absolute moron.
Can't help but reflect the present the historian inhabits. These will surely shift as present concerns do. History is constantly being remeasured in terms of previously
Stop saying
neglected
mass. I lived here too
metrics.
long.
Recent examples include the role of women, minorities,
Oh,
disability,
no.
sexuality,
Who cares?
disease, and culture. All of
No one
these
cares.
carry moral implications, and they by no means exhaust the list. But the history these
Bill,
representations
it's about women
represent
and
has not
non-whites.
changed. It's back there in the past, just as solidly
said he
as
cared,
that
and now he
imprecisely
doesn't
measured
care.
coastline. It's this reality that keeps our representations from flying
No,
off
it's about
into
including them.
fantasy.
No,
Well-
it's about including them into scholarship.
Well, the thing is, he has a bit of a point because
Does he?
history is the thing. Like history is always moving forward. We are always learning new things. I always go back to the example of fuck my English. The Second War. Because back in the 50s, after the war, everyone was talking, the German innovations and whatnot, no? Then we moved to the late 80s and 90s, we start to talk about the Americans, Private Ryan, the American army, the American inventions, the Springfield rifle. And now we are reaching the new era where we are reappreciating everything, like the German tanks were not necessarily the fucking gods on Earth, neither were the Shermans a useless piece of shit, We are balancing each other. And, it's the same up as every subject in history. The more we research, the more we seek knowledge.
Yes.
We can, some things that are more underappreciated will become more appreciated. Things that are overappreciated will be, reducing appreciations. But the thing is, I disagree with him in this regard, is that that's the point of objectivity. The job for the historian is to reach an objective truth.
Yes,
How do you
yes.
reach an objective truth? Is by doing this exact process. The process of, developing history, of learning and reading history, is science in sense,
should be.
You get the information you have and you reach a conclusion. If new information appears, you
Reevaluate.
Exactly, thank you. Know your conclusion and you change it, and so far, so forth. It's constantly happening, Just because, it's not the end point doesn't mean that cannot be an objective thing.
Yes, and this is really, really important when it comes to academia. You can make all of these. What kind of crazy shit? The stuff that he's. I don't know. So this Gaddis guy that he's citing is a lunatic, by the way. I can tell from this citation. That's crazy that he would say this stuff. Look, history is objectively true. It is true. History is one of the things that is most objectively true in the social sciences. Like it is true. It happened or it didn't. Figuring out the complexities of it is up for debate. But whether or not it happened and what happened, that is objectively true. This is history. It is fact. Inherent.
I mean, yeah. In the end, for example, it is an objective truth that the pyramids are built. No one is going to dispute that fact. And of course, of course, one could say, for example, but we will never completely agree on why they were built. Okay, sure, but there is an objective fact as to why it was built. It is just up to us to actually find it. Now, some issues are, for example, in history, a lot more complex than anyone's. Like, for example, if you look at World War One, like the causes for World War One, now that is not a black and white issue, and I would say
Oh yeah,
that some
the Duke got
subjective,
killed,
some
but that's not
like
why World War
yeah,
One happened.
I believe there could be like for example, oh, who is the good guy and who is the bad guy? Like I would say that is more subjective because
Yes.
as a British guy, you would obviously support Britain being involved in World War One because to secure its global hegemony. Same way a German would be in favor of World War One, saying the Germans were the good guys because they were also trying to protect their hegemony. But yeah, that's not like if we're
The
talking in
moment you
that
make a
sense,
moral judgment, you're not talking about this, you're talking about philosophy.
yeah.
The point of history to
right,
say
right.
what happened,
You've-
not if
right.
what happened is good or bad.
We've moved into philosophy immediately. That's the problem. What happened? What happened is objective. The perspectives on it, that's philosophy. That's
Yeah.
That's politics. That does not have anything to do with what happened in reality. So this understanding of history is fundamentally broken. That, whoa, people have different perspectives. No, I don't care if they have different perspectives.
People
I
just
don't-
have different philosophies and viewpoints.
I don't care.
They don't.
It doesn't matter to me. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit if you have a different perspective. What was the reality of the historical event? That's what matters. Nothing else matters to me whatsoever. All the rest of this is fluff. I don't give a shit. It's faff. I don't give a damn. But here we go. I don't give it. This is like, well, what if I feel differently? What if this group feels differently? But I don't give a damn. Who won the Battle of the Somme or something like that? Like, who won? What happened? Who died? How did it happen? Explain it. That's history. Not, well, here's how I feel about it. Don't give a shit. Woman. Jesus Christ. I don't know if this person's a woman. I'm just assuming.
Yeah.
Now, me and Gaddis disagree on some things. He's a bit more pessimistic about consensus than me,
he
for
is,
example.
apparently. Okay.
But we do agree that the history we write, the representations we create, will never be the past itself. But that we're always striving towards that unreachable goal. And that's what keeps us, in the aggregate, moving in the same direction, towards a more complete historical truth. Roderick Stackelberg, Professor Emeritus at Gonzaga University in
Big
Spokane,
deal.
quoting from Hitler's Germany. History is interpretation.
If you know, emeritus means a
Justify
lot.
his or her work
Emeritus
solely
means a
on the
lot.
basis of providing the essential facts. Writing history is not separable from interpreting it. Even the most positivist and meticulous...
Doesn't necessarily mean you're a good professor. It just means you've been there for a long ass time.
Yeah.
But emeritus does mean something. Emeritus does mean something.
But to be fair, I would maybe argue that considering some of the shit, like especially like past history, like medieval period, like I don't think we would be able to absolutely know like the absolute truth because remember, a lot of the things that were written down back then, it's lost forever. Like we don't have like the Library of Alexandria or literally the sacking of Baghdad by the Mongols, where the river literally was colored black from all the ink from the books they threw in there. There are many things I would argue, like in the past, we probably won't even know about because all the records of it were destroyed.
Exactly. We don't. There's so little we know because the records were destroyed. Now, and that's what I got canceled for 6 years ago now, and people still bring up to this day. They'll be like, "Aren't you the person who denied the Holocaust?" And it's like, I didn't deny the Holocaust because I said I didn't know how many Polish people died in the Holocaust because the records are not good, and no one knows. I said I don't know how many Polish people died in this portion of the Holocaust or that portion of the Holocaust. I don't know how many Polish people died. That was considered. By the way, that shit I kind of love this in a weird way. I don't really like it. I love it only in a political way. That now
There's also-
all the people who called me a Nazi for saying I don't know how many Polish people died in the Holocaust are now being like, from the river to the sea, Palestine shall be free, kill all the Jews. I'm not saying that. I'm saying they're saying that. But like they're saying that shit on college campuses. It's crazy. I'm like the same people who called me a Holocaust denier for saying that I don't know how many Polish people died because no one knows, are now out there being like, yeah, but kill all the Jews. Like, what the fuck? It's crazy. It's insane. I can't believe it's just so nuts. But well, keep going, Omi, and let's see what happens for you. I guess.
The factual approach to history cannot avoid interpretation, if only in the selection of facts deemed worthy of presenting. In this book, I present the interpretation that I believe is best suited to help understand this extraordinary historical phenomenon. He goes on to say this in the next chapter. In its shortest definition, history is past politics. The late Edward Hallett Carr, whose work forms one of the pillars of modern historiography, outlines these concepts well in his beautifully written What is History? Our examination of the relation of the historian to the facts of history finds us, therefore, in an apparently precarious situation, navigating delicately between the Scylla of an untenable theory of history as an objective compilation of facts, of the unqualified primacy of fact over interpretation, and the Charybdis of an equally untenable theory of
I don't
history
think he knows what the word Charybdis means, by the way.
mind of the historian who establishes the facts of history and masters them through the process of interpretation, between a view of history having the center of gravity in the past and a view of the center of gravity in the present.
Wait, hang on,
historian
pause.
is neither the
He put like a little thing on the screen there for a second. What was that?
It's like this is a long ass sentence because I think he stuttered. That's why.
Oh, okay, but he doesn't define what a Charybdis is. That's.
I mean,
curious.
honestly, a lot of the times when I quote my shit, I also don't know any of these fancy words, so I just state them.
Really?
Yeah.
So a Charybdis is like a sea monster, right? It's like a leviathan.
Okay, let me check.
Basically, he's trying to say that both of these, contrasts are monsters on their own right. Like something that is how do I say it in English? Fuck, I don't know how to say it in English.
It's bizarre for him to have chosen to weirdly pause at that moment and not put the definition of Charybdis, but he puts the definition of something else here.
facts of history.
It's more of like a metaphor, I would say, than a
Maybe.
definition.
It's odd though. To me, it's odd. But I don't know. I'm clearly not the target audience because I wouldn't be swept in by this nonsense. This would make me react the way I react.
Facts of history and
Think about it like a canyon. Like you are in the middle of the canyon, and on both sides you have two walls. We have two opposites, two extremes. On one side we have the theory of history as a subjective product of the mind. On the other side, you have the theory of history as an objective compilation of facts. And you are in the middle. That's basically the metaphor that he's trying to reach here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Crazy.
facts of history and masters them through the process of interpretation, between a view of history having this.
This is a long. Okay, that's what he said. This is a long ass sentence. You
Yeah.
could have defined these words, but you didn't. Cool.
Center of gravity in the past and a view of the center of gravity in the present. The historian is neither the humble slave nor the tyrannical master of its facts. The relation between the historian and his facts is one of equality, of give and take. As any working historian knows if he stops to reflect what he's doing, as he thinks and writes, the historian is engaged on a continuous process of molding his facts to his interpretation. And his
That should not be the
to his
case. That
facts.
should not be the case. No. You don't mold facts. Facts are facts. Reality is reality. History
Well,
is
the
history.
problem over there is how do you define the reality?
Evidence.
Yeah, but for
Science?
example, in Emperor
Empiricism?
Nero, but then you have an example, for example, Emperor Nero. For hundreds of years, a lot of the historiography we had in regards to Emperor Nero was very negative. He was considered a tyrant,
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, most of the sources we have from Emperor Nero were from Roman senators, people from the
did not really
senatorial
like
class.
him. Who did not really like
Exactly.
him.
Recently, we have been finding sources from imperial historians. We have been reappraising them, imperial historian people that were pro-Nero. And those people is the complete opposite. It's like God in heaven. So in the end of the day, the job of the historian is not to take, either side as a fact, but is to, in every like story like King Arthur, there's a bit of truth,
Mm-hmm.
King Arthur might not have taken the Excalibur, but we know for a fact that it was a Romano-British king that is important. Or for example, Troy. Troy exists as a town that mythos didn't exist.
Well,
The job of this Troy is trying to reach
actually,
the truth.
We didn't actually know that Troy existed up until, well, what, 70 years ago?
Yeah.
We couldn't find evidence for that. We couldn't find evidence that Troy even existed. But we do now.
Yeah, Achilles might not have been a real man, but we know there was a war for sure now. So the job of the historian is to pick these two cases, and try to pinpoint, more or less, where the truth lies. Because there's a truth on the bottom, it's under layers and layers and layers of oral history, of biases that is, from along the centuries. So the historians to go back and start peeling those layers until we reach the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. So, also the idea that history is this linear kind of thing, or this simple thing that you can make sense of, is absurdist. I totally don't understand this. Molding his facts to his interpretation. That's what you've done. Yes, you have molded facts into your interpretation. That's what you've done, and I find that to be truly and honestly reprehensible as an academic. I would love. Oh man, let me at him, because I'll ruin you. I'll ruin
Aiden. What do you say we maybe invite him on a debate?
I'd love to.
I would love to have a conversation with him, actually.
Actually, one of the things that I'm really I'd love to have him on debate. One of the things that I was talking to my mom about. I told you I was on the call with my mom for like 3 hours this afternoon. My mom kept telling me, like, why don't you ask these scholars to talk to you? And I said, oh, that's a good idea. Why don't I? Now, I know that one of them probably won't, but my involvement with the Claudine Gay situation, one of them is not going to, because he is still a professor at Harvard. I really doubt. Not because he doesn't want to, but because he's probably under some contractual shit to not. However, the other woman is a black woman that Claudine Gay spent her entire career plagiarizing from. She's plagiarized from a bunch of people, but she plagiarized from both her, and then she tried to get another black scholar canceled. His name is Roland, my brain. Roland, Lawrence? That's not right. What's his name? Dang it.
Also, until you think of that,
I'll find it in a second here. Hang on. Let me check my... Go ahead.
Okay, so I actually had an encounter with Freda, this guy.
Oh, really?
On Twitter.
Uh-huh.
I have been following his Twitter for a bit, and then I came across a tweet of his in relations to Pokemon.
Pokemon?
And he doesn't always just tweet political shit. So I wanted to do a little experiment.
Mm-hmm.
I then replied... he made an opinion regarding Pokemon, and then I replied, agreeing with him and such, and then he literally responded with screenshotting my profile and saying, "Bro, why the fuck are you here? Why are you on my profile? Look, conservative Marxist, why are you here?"
No, the conservative is here.
Oh, why is he here? Why is he here in my audience?
Oh no.
Then I already knew what kind of person he was. Like those insufferable people.
Yeah, oh, how dare you? Someone who doesn't agree with me is in my mentions?
This is literally the best way to basically scare people off from adopting your ideology. By openly fucking mocking them for even engaging with you in the first place.
I know I talked about it earlier, but Roland Fryer, that's the guy's name. Roland Fryer, Dr. Roland Fryer. That guy got totally screwed by Claudine Gay. Fuck Claudine Gay. She can suck my dick. My ostensible, my ostensible unexistent dick. But such a bitch. I'm astonished by these people. They don't have any shame. They have no shame in what they do. It drives me nuts. They have no shame. They're just like, oh, I'm gonna do something horrific, horrid, and nothing you can do about it. Deal with it. Crazy, man.
Okay. So, Aiden, what do you say that maybe after she sent out an email and maybe we could have a debate with Freda, maybe you two, because I know you two would have a lot of fun.
I'd love to have a debate with this guy. He's not gonna. He can't. Here's the problem, right? With debates, I'm a very congenial person. I will just kind of agree with anything anybody says. Be like, oh, okay, all right.
I mean, I am personally a shit debater.
It's not my field. Not
Yeah.
my area of. Even
And
though
honestly-
I'm a comm scholar, I should
honestly,
be good at it, but I'm not.
the only reason I really want to watch people engage in debates so I can maybe gain some more insight and knowledge and be like, oh, that's a good response to this. Oh yeah, I need to remember that. Like that's the reason why I even watch debates, because if I engage in a debate myself, 9 out of the 10 times, unless I'm really, really informed on a topic, I'm gonna lose because my brain can't come up with a good counter argument in 0.1 seconds, like Vosh or
Yeah.
Destiny.
Well, I did it. This is very funny. Destiny said the other day, or a couple weeks ago, no, 2 weeks, 2 weeks ago, he said like, I'm gonna convince, I'll prove that I can convince conservatives that Jan 6 wasn't a coup. And I said, okay, prove it to me. I went in there with a completely open mind. I said, all right, well, at the end we talked for about 45 minutes, maybe an hour.
You too.
And I said, okay, well, you made good arguments. I don't know how to counter them.
Yeah.
You made good arguments. I said, you gave me something to think about. His audience then went and told me to go fucking kill myself. It was like insane. It was like, wait a minute, what the fuck am I supposed to do? It was crazy, dude. I was
Actual
like,
fucking echo chamber.
yeah, but it's not Destiny's fault. It's not his fault.
The internet is tribalistic. That's just how things are, sadly.
Okay. Also, you ladies have fun. I'm gonna go on the toilet for a second.
Good timing. But yeah, like Destiny's audience like got real mad at me. I had a whole bunch of people tell me to kill myself and stuff like that afterwards, and I was like, I didn't post to Destiny about it. Just said like, yo, I know your audience. I said to him right after the stream, I said like, hey, it's really good to talk to you, man. I know your audience doesn't like me, but like that's cool, and thanks for having me on. That's all I said to him. Essentially that. Then over the next couple of days, because he uploaded a VOD of it, I got some of the most insane shit I've ever seen on Twitter. People telling me to fucking kill myself. People telling me to eat lead or eat paint or whatever, or kill yourself. And it's like, wait a minute, excuse me. Isn't the whole point of this that we're supposed to get along? That we're supposed to like find a median ground. That was the whole point of it. And I said, hey, you were right, Destiny. I don't have an argument against that. And I was there like, hey, thanks, Steven. Good to talk to you always. That's how I ended, I think, the call. And people would try me to fucking kill myself? What the fuck? Like, it was insane. Like,
I mean, in the internet, people see debates as a dick measuring contest.
Mhm.
They have their favorite, participants.
It wasn't framed as a debate. It was literally framed as, I will convince conservatives to X to not believe that Jan 6 was a insurrection.
It's still
There
in the minds of the most people. It's still a dick measuring context. It's like two sides, two tribes. It's in the end of the day, it ends up being that tribalism that evolves. Makes any sort of fucking discussion impossible, which is what I despise the most. It's almost impossible to have a discussion with someone. I'm not even saying a debate to say, "Oh, I am smart. I will debunk." No, I don't care about this shit.
Yeah, it was
Having a
crazy.
normal discussion with someone, it's becoming even more impossible nowadays because of tribalist nonsense.
Well, to me, it's just like, I was like, oh, hey, Steven, how's it going? How are you doing? Like, we're not friends, but like, we're friendly. And so like, hey, by the way, at one point, Destiny threatened to sue me. So, like, this is a... But I've totally gotten over that. And I'm like, hey, man, it's cool. We're all cool, right? Now? I've actually defended him in videos and stuff. So I have no problem going on. He's been on our podcast here on the Broken Crown channel. I was like, hey, Destiny, how's it going? And he was like, hey, Aiden, how's it going? You know, normal shit. And then I got fucking death threats. Which is insane. By the way, for agreeing with him. Insane. Which is
I mean...
What did you want me to do? What do you want me to do? Do you want me to, like, just fucking sit there and disagree? I was like, oh, well, you make a good point. What the fuck?
No. I guarantee you that if you sat there and stayed silent, you'll still get death threats. I guarantee you that. That's how the internet works.
Yeah, because they're out of their fucking minds. And it's like, and I told Destiny that. I was like, it's not your fault. Like, don't worry about it. Not your fault. Because it's not his fault. It's not. He has no control over these lunatics. But, like, holy shit. Like, I literally sat there for an hour and said, oh, you make good points. I don't know if I agree with him, but you make good points. I agreed with him for an hour. Then I get death threats over it. Like, what the fuck? I know that's the left. That's the left. I have never experienced that on the right. Ever experienced that on the right. I could go on any right-leaning person's stream and say whatever the fuck I wanted, and I would not get a fucking death threat. But I got, like... And by the way, I don't take death threats seriously, unless they're... Like,
I mean, most of the death threats are made by
Yeah.
fucking Reddit mods that are overweight in the basement. Come on.
Yeah. I don't take that shit seriously unless they post my address or something. So I don't take that shit seriously. But, that being said, it was like, what the fuck? It was like, I go on right-leaning podcasts all the time. Never had a death threat from those podcasts. However, I go on talk to Destiny. I think we have a nice conversation. And I truly mean this. A nice conversation. Next day, my fucking Twitter is full of, like, I'm gonna fucking kill you shit. What? Crazy. Insane. But that's how they are. So, I don't know. I'm gonna wait till Lav comes
Welcome
back.
to the internet.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, I know it's welcome to the internet, but it's like, it's not welcome to the internet. Because...
I mean, no, you don't know that song, do you?
Yeah, I know the song, But it's funny. Because the left is so vile and vicious. They're so evil. There's no other word. Evil is the right word to describe them. That even if you're like, oh, hey, cool, I agree. They'll be like, I would like to destroy your life because you didn't agree with me initially. I'm like, whoa, holy shit. I sat there
consider
and
it
agreed
more
with
a
Destiny for
sad
20
thing
minutes.
that we went from rhetoric debates to
Yeah.
whatever you call that.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about, but that is what it is. Like, you can't, this is why you cannot talk to the left. You can't. You just can't. Why was I doing that? Why did I do that? Because I was like, hey, we can have a conversation. You can't. You cannot talk to the left. If you talk to the left, they'll try to kill you. Or they'll threaten to kill you for sure. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Right doesn't do that. I've talked to everybody from all over different sides of the right. I've never gotten death threats the way that I got from just... Again, this is not Destiny's fault. Like, it's not his fault. But the amount of death threats I got after just being like, hey man, how's it going? Having a normal fucking conversation with the dude. The amount of death threats I got, crazy. But that's the problem. The left, the only thing that they know is power. That's the only thing that they know. The only thing they know is violence.
I don't think it's just about power. It's also about the parasocial relations. You know, like,
maybe,
people develop the parasocial relations with this like, what we said, Destiny is like, there's what's the name in English? Streamer. Yes, right.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, people get an attachment, you know, to the streamer. And by consequence, they get an attachment to that, like, camp, you know, you have, like, the that certain figures, for example, the right and what's the name of the guy there, Sarkeesian, back in 2016, you had those that group of people that people look at and then they group it together, the same with the left. And when you have someone that bridges the gap, people cannot go like overdrive. They cannot understand it. They get mad, because it breaks that parasocial relationship with the group,
Maybe.
with the collective, I guess you can call it that.
Yeah, they have no PSR with me, so they think like, oh, who's this bitch who's talking to Destiny? She must be a cunt. And it's like, we're just talking like as normal people. Like, we're just having a normal ass fucking conversation. And I was like, okay, cool, thanks, Steven. Chill, see you later. And I get fucking death threats. I was like, what the fuck is this? I didn't want to bother Steven with it, like, because it's not his fault, like I said.
Okay, I'm back from the shitter.
Did you have
God bless.
But yeah, like, I didn't want to bother Steven with that stuff, because it's not his fault. Of course it's not. But it was still, like, fucking, it was weird, like, the left is so insane. And this happened to me just the other day. A couple months ago, I, like, gave a super chat to somebody who is a non-political streamer. And he went, what the fuck? Aiden Paladin? Why are you here? Aren't you, like, a weird, extreme rightoid? And I was like, I don't think so. Maybe. I don't know. And then
Maybe. Are you a laser?
I am very far right, because I'm a monarchist. So I'm very far right in terms of my politics. And then, like, yesterday, literally yesterday, I gave another $20 to another streamer whose videos I'd been watching, and he was like, Aiden Paladin, Aiden Paladin, what are you doing here? Aren't you, like, a weird, aren't you some kind of weird political person? I'm like, the fuck?
I think that's more like the perception.
Yeah, what
that
does
people
that
have.
mean? Clearly. But it's bizarre. Like, I've done
No,
nothing.
it's bizarre for you,
It's bizarre for me.
but for them, it's like normal.
Yeah, I guess so. But I don't know how I gained this perception.
Okay, the only thing is spinning with
Think
the
a bit
video.
like Emprendor, though. One people say something, the other person says something, and then 300 people later, it's a completely different word.
Yeah. It's alright. I don't really mind it, but it's like kind of weird. Why am I perceived as like this? I'm a weird right-wing person. I am right-wing. I am weird. But I don't know what I did that, like, people were like, oh, I thought you didn't listen to us. What? Obviously, I listen to left-wing perspectives. It's really bizarre. Obviously, I listen to more left-wing perspectives. I think this is the problem, is that left-wing people don't listen to right-wing people ever. Ever. So when a right-wing person, quote-unquote, comes into their space, they get freaked out. They're like, what the fuck? There's a right-wing person here? What? You're supposed to hate me. I'm like, no. Just watching your stupid fucking video. I mean,
it's basically a giant cult.
Yeah, I think so. Because it is bizarre. It does feel cult-like to me. That it's like, oh, you're not allowed to watch me, Aiden. You're a right-winger. You're not allowed to watch me. And I'm not saying about the person the two people that I responded to, which, who are good people, who I like a lot, which were Tommy C. and Chud Logic, who I like a lot. That's why I gave them money. It's not their fault. I think that they were just like, what the fuck? Conservatives watch this video? Watch this stream? Like, yeah. Yeah. I do. I watch your streams. I'm often there live. Okay, speaking of, let's watch this video.
It is to assign primacy to one over the other. He then goes on to say, the historian without his facts is rootless and futile. The facts without their historian are dead and meaningless. My first answer, therefore, to the question, what is history, is that it is a continuous process of interaction between the historian and his facts. an unending dialogue between the present and the past. And he
Oh my god,
on to
history is
explicitly
just a
say,
big... history
facts
doesn't
of history-
exist. There's no real facts. It's all just whatever I think and feel. Great. Excellent. So history is feelings, not facts. Great. Great. Thank you, homie. Thank you. Thank you for telling me what history is to you. History is feelings.
history cannot be objective, since they become facts of history only in virtue of the significance attached to them by the historian. Objectivity in history, if we are still to use that conventional term, cannot be an objectivity of fact.
Oh my god, just kill me.
Interpretation
Kill me. Kill me.
between past,
Can you
present,
please put a bullet through my
future.
fucking skull?
Here's the
Please. Please kill me. History is just whatever I feel it is. Rainbow. Fuck off. Unbelievable. Ahistorical, ascientific, insane nonsense. Just get out of here. Get the fuck out. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Truly do.
late Peter Novick, who in life was a professor at the University
Novich, by the way.
of
It's
Chicago.
Novich. Thank you.
Historical objectivity is not a single idea, but rather a sprawling collection of assumptions, attitudes, aspirations, and antipathies. At best, it is what the philosopher W.B. Galli has called an essentially contested concept. Like social justice or leading a Christian
Yeah,
life,
all bullshit.
the meaning of
Thank
which
you.
will always be in dispute.
Yeah. Putting more bullshit. Disco Elysium OST
And finally,
slaps.
here's William
Very cool. All bullshit. I really hate they always use the Disco Elysium tracks. Because Disco Elysium is good, and it is not a commie game, despite all the contentions that commies make. In fact, being a communist is disapproved of in that game. I guess they just didn't do any other route, I suppose.
Cronin, a professor at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, cementing his view that narrative is essential to history. I wish to record my own conviction, chastened but still strong, that narrative remains
Who
essential.
cares about his fucking
Nature.
opinion?
Because I care so much about nature and
File
storytelling.
fucking real shit. I don't give a fuck about somebody's goddamn opinion. This is stupid. I don't care about Cronin's opinion. I don't give a shit about Dr. Cronin's opinion. Can you tell me some facts? Oh no, it's opinion. Okay, cool. Very based. And by that I mean unbased. Jesus Christ. Find some goddamn data.
Both, I would urge upon environmental historians
shit,
to the
what a
task
loser.
of telling not just histories about nature,
What a
but
loser.
stories about stories of nature. I do so because narratives remain
Find
our
some
chief
data.
moral compass in the world, because we use them to motivate and explain our actions. The stories we tell change.
You use them to motivate
World.
and explain
In a
your
very
actions.
literal sense, the frontier stories helped cause the Dust Bowl, just as the New Deal
piece of
stories
shit.
helped cause the government response to that disaster. History, in other words, and the narratives told by it, has the power to effect real change. Historians seldom write about
Yeah?
topics they don't care about, and so the history they write shouldn't be viewed.
Yeah. Do you know what that's called? This fucking loser doesn't even know what it's called. It's called file drawing. You don't even understand this shit. Get the fuck out of my fucking field. You stupid idiot.
Aiden is mad.
I'm having a fucking melty. Don't talk about shit you don't understand. Why don't they talk about this? It's called file drawing. It's an entire fucking issue. You don't understand file drawing, you stupid fucking pleb. I'm so tired of plebs trying to be like, oh, I'm gonna go into academia and pretend like I act like... No. Shut up. You don't understand this. You fucking stupid pleb. It's called file drawing. That's why it happens. Oh, why is this not published? It's called file drawing because the fucking p-value is under 0.05, you dipshit. Oh my god. You absolute fucking moron. Why do you not... Oh, I know why you don't know this. I was like, why don't you know this? Oh, I know why you don't know this. Because you're a fucking pleb. Get the fuck out of my field, you fucking pleb. Stop pretending as if you understand what the fuck social science is, you dipshit. I'm so fucking tired of these dipshits pretending like they know what the fuck social science is. I'm so tired of it. I'm absolutely at the end of my goddamn rope. I'm so goddamn tired of it. Figure out what the fuck social science is. No, go get a fucking PhD before you make videos like this, you dipshit. Absolute fucking ding dong. I'm so tired of it. I'm tired.
Aiden, I think you're going a bit too far. Also,
No.
also remind me to never. Also, remind me never to piss you off.
True. I'm so irritated. I hate this. Don't, just shut up, you fuck. You don't even know what the fuck you're talking. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that you have the temerity to say shit like this, make a video like this. You fucking pleb. You're literally a plebeian. And I don't say shit like that lightly. You are a plebeian pretending that as if you understand things about academe. That's fine. But you don't. You don't understand things about academe. You have no idea what the fuck we do. You have no clue how the fuck academe works. Shut up, you pleb. Holy crap. Oh my god.
By the way, he has 66,000 subscribers.
Okay, so he's a little YouTuber. That's fine. He's got a tiny channel. That's fine.
I mean, honestly, I wish I had the amount he has, and I'm barely about to get 20k.
It's fine. But I'm a little pissy about this. Shut up, this dude.
Okay, let's just finish
it. Narrative has power. Let's hear that. Listen, holy crap.
So deep,
They're
so
theoretical
deep.
Facts, or an attempt at changing or adding to the historical consensus, but also as attempts at changing the world.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing sinister or wrong about this. Historians are constantly trying to find the ideal historical truth.
No, yes, that's the point of academe. We're trying to find the fucking truth. What are we? Okay, go ahead.
Not just for the sake of doing so, but also in the hopes that it will make society better. That a deep
No! No, we are not trying to find the truth in hopes it will make society better. We are trying to find the truth because the truth is the truth. I don't give a shit what you care about, but your weird fucking political philosophy. The truth is the truth. I don't give a shit about anything else. Neither should any other academic. It's the truth is the truth. That's what it comes down to. That's what it means. The truth is the truth. I'm so tired of this shit. I'm so fucking tired of this.
We're almost there. 2 more minutes.
Yeah.
deeper understanding of the past that accounts for many different perspectives leaves us better equipped for the present and the future. Now finally, for the end of this video, I want to leave you with this quote from Gaddis. Learning about the past liberates the learner from oppressions earlier constructions of the past have imposed upon them.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's very curious for you.
You don't misunderstand this to mean that historians can't be trusted. Not at all. This is precisely why they can be trusted, because they are aware of these things. They spend a lot of time reflecting on this, because they want to tell the truth as best they can, and they know the challenges that they have to
Do they? You just shit on the entire field.
The more
you shit on the entire field and said it's all
reflected
fake.
on this, the more I am inclined to...
Excuse me. You've just shit on the entire field of history. You've said it's all fake. It's all bullshit. So what are they doing? Nothing, apparently, according to you. What a fucking lunatic. Jesus Christ.
Trust them. If a historian seeks to elevate their perspective or view by appealing to some nebulous, singular, objective history, that just so happens
Yes, there is a singular objective history.
Then I see them...
Excuse me. 1 second. There is a singular objective history. It is inherently objective and singular. Guys, what the fuck is this guy saying? That there are multiple histories? That, well, I felt a way. How are you gonna say that about things that happened like fucking 1500 years ago? No, there is objective history. It exists. I don't even understand this contention. It makes no sense to me. It's incomprehensible. What do you guys think?
I just pissed my pants.
Based. I don't understand this. It confuses me. You saying there's no objective history? That history is all subjective? I mean, and go report historians. to their universities. Now, by the way, I'm all on board with that. Report them. Not gonna happen. What the hell, though? What the fuck is this?
For what they are. A useless historian at best, and a liar at worst. Not all histories.
You're a liar. Your idea of history is your feelings. Based. You're a liar. Get over it, dude. You're a liar. You fucked this shit up. Just come on, like, dude, like, you're the one who's fucked all this fucking shit up. Like, you're the one who's been a fucking goddamn nightmare. What a lunatic. I'm so tired of it. Like, dude, what a fucking crazy person. You fucked this up. What a crazy person. Holy shit. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck if I go blind. I don't need to see the price tag anyway. This crazy dude, it's just fucking... What are you doing? Ugh, it's so annoying.
Honestly, people like this are... Honestly, people like this are the evidence that you can present any fucking absurd idea you can. Basically, any fucking absurd idea you can. But as long as you say it in a quote-unquote smart way, people will think you know what you're talking about and then automatically agree with you.
I get that shit all the time on my videos. Sorry.
To one of the most foundational aspects.
We're like here at the very end.
But especially I want to thank my patrons.
Oh, it's just him. Okay, this happened at the end. Okay, let me give my my opinion on this. Just to summarize. What's this guy's name?
By the way, Freda.
Freda,
yeah.
Freda, I invite you to come and talk to me. I will lose a debate, because I'm not good at debating. However, you are a fucking idiot. You are the stupidest person, not the stupidest, but you're one of the stupidest people I've ever fucking come across. What the fuck are you doing? I really want to, like, just put this video. Hang on, let's just do this. Just for, I don't know, my sake, right? Put this against my video on the history of Ukraine, right? Now, you don't have to agree with it. Let me find it. Okay. Alright. You have to agree with this video. But just the difference in quality. And also, if you don't like it... wait, what? Didn't work. Not work. What? It just keeps showing the same video. That's weird. That is very weird. Why does YouTube not want
Okay, what are you trying now? Your video.
I'm trying to show my video. It will not work. Is my video blocked? Might be. My video might be blocked.
And you haven't noticed that yet?
YouTube does shit like that randomly. Yeah.
Let me search it up. Made in Paled in Ukraine.
This video seeks to serve as a brief introduction.
It just brings up his video again.
Seeks to serve as a brief introduction to one of the most...
Is this a Ukraine explain everything you wanted to know? And
yeah, that's it. It's up.
Okay. Yeah, it's up still.
See if you can put it into the watch together. I don't know why it's being weird.
All right.
No, the only reason I want to put this up is because to show the extreme difference, right, between this kind of shit and what I do.
Okay, there we go.
The Ukraine is weak. It's feeble. I think it's time to put...
I don't mean to be full of myself, but goddamn.
the hurt on the Ukraine.
I come from Ukraine. You not say Ukraine weak?
Yeah, well, we're playing a game here, pal.
Ukraine is came to you? But I take your little bonus?
On February 24th of 2022, Russia invaded Ukraine to the shock and disgust of onlookers worldwide. External observers, both politicians and the general public, were quick to denounce Russia's actions.
Again, I recorded this while I was sick, if my voice sounds a little cocky.
Honestly, better than mine.
But here, I just wanted to make a comparison, right? Here's my documentary.
Myself included. But things quickly began to escalate from the announcement to calls for the West to enter into the conflict. Pew polling from March was indicative that about a third of Americans were willing to go to war with Russia over Ukraine, even if that war would result in the use of nuclear weapons. An unknown number of volunteers from the US, UK, and other Western countries
background.
It's
unwilling to wait for their governments to take action about the Russians, booking tickets for themselves and flying to Ukraine to support the nation's military, only for many to quickly realize that real war is just a little bit different from Call of Duty.
They're trying to send us to Kiev with no weapons, no kit, no plates. The people who are lucky enough to get weapons are only getting magazines with like 10 rounds, okay? When they wanted to send us to Kiev, we said no. Our whole group, a bunch of Americans, Canadians, British. So they told us we had to get the out or they were going to shoot us in the back.
But how did we get to that point? Listening to the likes of Vice President Kamala Harris's attempt to describe the situation surely would help clarify why any of these events occurred.
So, Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine.
Why don't you explain this to me like I'm 5?
So today, let's take a close look at the last 100 years of Ukrainian history to try and understand why Russia invaded Ukraine and the role that the United States and other Western nations may have played in the many events that precipitated the conflict. But first, and because this is going to be quite a long video, let's start by grabbing ourselves some snacks. And when I'm looking for a snack to munch on while I'm watching long YouTube videos, I also look for something that won't completely disturb my diet, which is why I love this video's sponsor, Moldova and Romania. Basically, it's a little bit of a daunting task. So daunting that I'm still not exactly sure where Latveria and Bessarabia, Estonia, and other fictional countries fit into the history here. I don't have any historical or political reasons to say that about Estonia, by the way. I'm saying it because the very existence of Tommy Cash probably should cost them their nation status. But to actually look at history, after the dissolution of the Kievan Rus, what would become Ukraine would be ruled over by numerous powers, including the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, Austria-Hungary, the Ottoman Empire, and the Tsardom of Russia.
Austria-Hungary mentioned.
And if you
But it's fucking crazy that people act like this is all like some new shit, that all of a sudden Poland and all these other countries just they all got involved. Excuse me, what? You have no fucking understanding of history whatsoever.
We actually even had our own king of Ukraine at some point, Vasily.
Yep, you sure did. Sure did. And no one seems to give a fuck. I'm astonished. This video did not do well in the algo, by the way. This video, can you believe it? That this video didn't do well? I can. Because I didn't ascribe to the Ukrainians are being attacked. I'm gonna cry. I'm like, no. Instead, I'm gonna look at the history.
I mean, to be fair, the reason why I feel like there is a big difference, I think we can both agree on this, there's a difference when you support a country due to ideological reasons and when you can support a country due to geopolitical reasons. The reason...
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't support... I support Ukraine because, very simple geopolitics. My enemy is Serbia. Serbia is allied with Russia. Thus, Russia is the enemy. Thus, Ukraine is good. And this is, a very straightforward line of thinking. But these people, in the West, they support Ukraine because it is a based liberal democracy against Russian tyranny. Because
you want to know why I support Ukraine? Because I still haven't forgot what I did was in Austerlitz.
What?
What?
You know Austerlitz, when they fucking abandoned us against Napoleon?
Actually,
who, the Russians?
Guys,
yes.
Sorry. I'm not going to play more of my video, because we should head off for the evening. If you want to watch the rest of my video...
Honestly, this has been pretty fun. Especially when we were discussing fascism. Because, yeah.
It was fun. Therefore, I'm going to head out for the evening. I'm also getting drunk as fuck. But let me say, okay, let me read the rest of these super chats. super chats are. Let's see. Hang on. Whoop. Please let me scroll. Thank you, YouTube. Maybe. Okay. Here we go. Didn't they defile Robert E. Lee's horse? They also defiled his grave, my dude. And they defiled his horse's grave. Yeah. Don't like him at all. That was from Frog Jumper for 2. Writer Jane for 5 says, my English teacher met Toni Morrison. She's exceptionally racist, according to him. He hated having to teach the bluest eye. Interesting. Very interesting. I'm not surprised at that, by the way, at all. That sounds about on point. Alcohol funds for Aiden's headache for 5.
Yay.
My headache went away, by the way. But I did take 2 pills for that. DRT is king for 5 says, what the hell is he talking about? What he's talking about, excuse me, what he's talking about is geography quick of mapping, that when you calculate the coastlines of places you've made it, calculate the places you can make it mathematically infinite. Oh, okay. Yeah, true, based. Dear excuse me, I'm trying to read all the super chats, but like, YouTube's being fucked. Okay, there we go. Dear Today's King for 10 says, it's an over-intellectual way of saying a rock in a hard place. It was used by the Romans as the strait between Sicily and the toe of the Italian boot was very disingenuous at the time, hence the phrase. Maybe. So on the Let's for 2 says, Steve the wife rental guy was trying to sell J6 Glowfest to Ricada as if it was a real coup, which equals Nick should be banned for abusing a tard. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Deadpool Kid for 10 says, Disco Elysium tricked me out with the dialogue and the politics theories presented to me. I couldn't handle it. My brain is too much of a button masher. I understand that, DRT. Or Deadpool. I understand that. Slosher for 20 Canadian says, Aiden is bringing the righteous indignation to make up for Spoon being MIA today. I know, he went to sleep. Deadpool Kid for 5 says, Aiden rage. Yeah, I raged pretty hard earlier. I was just fucking mad. Kizza for 5 says, my loyal subjects, your king will soon be going live on my channel at 11 p.m. GMT with episode 3 of the Engine podcast. Hope to see you all there. Go over to Kiz's channel if you want to watch that. And Funky Monkey for £1 says, no, thank you. Alright, that's it. I'm drunk as fuck, guys. I'm gonna go to bed.
Yeah, I think we noticed.
Have you noticed that I'm a little bit drunk?
A little bit?
Yeah, slightly.
That's an understatement. That's an understatement.
Don't be rude. But I'm a little bit drunk, so I'm gonna go to bed. I'm actually quite drunk, which is why I can't stream anymore.
Okay, I'm gonna talk to you tomorrow when you're more sober.
Yeah, try to talk to me when I'm more sober. Like, however, I think this was a fun stream. Hope you all had fun.
Yeah. Well, I would say we're gonna see each other in February, right?
I think so. Oh, February. No. Unless you're gonna be in Vegas. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to Vegas in an unspecified time in April. I don't know the date yet, but I will be in Vegas in some unspecified time in April for the Geeks and Gamers meetup. But which I have been waiting for, because I am waiting to go back to Vegas. I've been dying to go back to Vegas. No, I'm not a broke ass bitch. I mean, I am still a broke ass bitch, but like, I have slightly more money now. Anywho, that's it for tonight. Oh my gosh, we're heading out early at 11 o'clock. Take care, everybody. Cheers, and bye-bye.
Yep, see you all.
Good night, lads.
Sorry if you're getting fucking drunk. I didn't mean to do that. I just got fucked. However, I did get fucking drunk.
Honestly, I'd call this evening successful even if Spoon wasn't here. I mean, to be fair, even